Good evening, everybody. Say evening. I'm in the evening. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everybody. How are we? I hope everyone can hear me. Can anyone give a thumbs up or a wave or anything on the comments? That would be great if you could. Thumbs up. Thanks, Paddy. Yeah, you can jump on now, Paddy. Feel free. Right, who else have we got in the chat there? Paddy, me, surprise, surprise. The Truth, if you're still with us, and a few others. Great stuff. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining. Sorry for the last-minute link change. Somehow I didn't connect the YouTube link to the Evo Mux studio. As Nick Romano says, I'm no Bill Gates, and neither are any of us. But yeah, hopefully that's another learning curve. But what's everybody been up to this today? Anyone been up to much? I interviewed this morning, which is a rarity because my interviews are usually quite late in the evening, around about this time. So it's just gone 8:30 in the evening here in the UK. My interviews are usually 9 o'clock because obviously I interview a lot of people in North America. Well, I interviewed an ex-Miami homicide detective. Sorry, bear me up. An ex-Miami homicide detective, but he's actually in India. So he's like, I think 4.5 hours in front of me. So I jumped out of bed this morning straight on. And yeah, I was, it was a bit of a rarity, but yeah, it was quite good. Quite good to do it in the day and not kind of crash as soon as I've done an interview or done a live, like I probably will today. Right, I'm going to bring my friend Paddy on. Put your camera down, Paddy. I can see your hairline. There you are. Sorry, bear with me 2 secs.
Hi, you hear me?
You okay? Yeah, I can hear you, buddy. How you doing?
You see me?
I can see you. I can see you.
How's that, better?
And clear. Yeah. Well, I can just see your eyes now.
This is fucking nuts. Why isn't this? Hold on.
It's always fun with
all
Paddy.
this shit comes like. Wait, let me get. I'm sitting here. I got on before. Wait, what's it? Live? Recording?
Yeah, you're on, mate.
You're recording?
You're on. I'm recording, and it's live. So, yeah. Oh, looks like he's left. He looks like he's lost us. Right. Let's see any comments. The Truth said he's a huge fan of Paddy, so hopefully you get to ask him some questions. I've dropped the link in, so if anyone does want to jump on, then feel free. Oh, here he is. He's back. We had this fun when we did the interview, didn't we, Paddy?
How's that? Better?
Yeah, it's better. I can see you now and hear you. Better. Yeah, better. You all right?
Good. Yeah, I'm in there, bro. We're doing good, huh? Over 1,500 already.
1,500, and let me check the watch hours for the interview. Let me double check. What have you been doing today then, Paddy? Anything interesting?
Nah, just cleaning up, just hanging out.
You've been chilling?
Not much. Yeah, that's all. I had to rest my voice. You know,
I, I had you on for.
I had to rest my voice.
By the time we did some preamble in the interview, you were talking for about 3.5 hours flat, weren't you?
Yeah, yeah, basically, right? Well, hey, it's it. They like me, huh? I see that one guy says he's a huge fan of mine.
Yes. Yeah, you had some good. You had some positive comments as well. A lot of positive comments. All of them actually were positive comments. So yeah, people were certainly enjoying your
They,
what you were doing and what you were saying in your stories. So the watch hours at the moment
they love
are
it.
they do they love you,
I got a
buddy.
couple of stories for you today.
You got a little couple of what? Sorry.
I said after we talk, you said you're gonna keep me on. I'll talk whatever I want. I got a couple of good stories for you today.
Cool.
Some crazy and true, some funny and some true, and some all real.
I want to ask you a couple of things as well before we jump into your stories, if that's all right. They are your stories, but I just a few things I didn't get around to
Uh,
asking when we did our 3 hour stint. By the way, your video at the moment has got 555.5 watch hours, so it's doing well. What has it been? Not even has it been 48 hours, something like that? Saturday it dropped, so not even 48 hours yet, Paddy. It's doing well.
uh, no, in 10 minutes.
Yeah, yeah. So it
I'm going to
started.
tell you today. Listen to this. You
Go
want to
for it.
talk about rails? You want to talk about rails, right?
Yeah, that was one of the things on my agenda. Yeah,
All right. All right. Listen, I'm going to give you a story how rails was founded and how it became famous.
go for it. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, it was found by mistake. Somebody found it.
It's found by mistake. Rayo's was found by mistake. It was like the
Yeah,
late 1800s, wasn't
somebody
it?
was
It was.
looking. Rails is it's around 120 years old. That's when it first started because it was like basically a neighborhood restaurant until somebody found it. And I'm going to tell you how they found it.
Go for it. Yeah,
What's
yeah.
this over here? The truth is saying tremendous.
You
Oh, that's a chat on the bottom. Okay, I never noticed that there. Can't really see it. I fucking my glasses broke, man. Son of a bitch.
don't don't worry about it. I'll tell you. Don't worry about the chat. You just crack on with your story.
All right, bro. You're on yet?
Yeah, we're on, mate. Yeah, you've been live for the last
Oh,
5 minutes.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. So you want to start, or you got how many people you got in?
We've got 6 at the moment.
All right, that's just in the chat, right?
Yeah, that's just from the chat. Hopefully, it'll pick up in a few minutes when we get going.
All right, let's go. I'm ready, bro.
Right, Rayos began in the late 18th century. Right, take it from there.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, can you? By the way,
Rayo's roughly
can
100.
sorry, Paddy. Can
What's
you
up?
paint a picture of what Rayos is? Because some people around him who are listening might not know what Rayos is. Can you just say what it is to start
Rayo,
with? Thanks.
Rayo's was opened roughly 120 years ago. At the beginning, it was a family. It still is a family business. And when it opened up all the years, like all the people in the neighborhood used to go down there, like during the prohibition area, they used to serve beer. It was a little restaurant, and just basically some people in the neighborhood and people around the area. It was very, very small, you know, and it's family owned, and it's been through right now. It's been through one, two. It's going on the third generation radios of owners.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So basically, it was really nothing. It was like a little dive back in the day, where you went down there, you got your beer, you went and got something to eat, and pretty much that was it. You know,
So Rayo's was did it start? Rayo's did it started as a cafe stroke by the sound of it, quite downbeat restaurant in East Harlem. Is that right?
yeah, yeah. It was a neighborhood place at the
Yeah.
beginning. You know, like you could go down there and eat, you could go drink, and then during Prohibition, they used to sell beer. You know, like my mother, I remember she used to tell me my grandfather used to send my mother down with a little beer cabinet, little thing of beer, like a tin thing. And he used to send her down. She must have been 10 years old. And my uncle used to watch her across the street, and she used to go into Rayo's and get him his beer, his tin of beer. I forget, it was so cheap. It was like a dime back then for a thing, like a gallon of beer, whatever the hell it was, you know? So
Was it like
basically,
a speakeasy then back in the day? Like a speakeasy.
yeah, yeah, but Rayo's only has 10 tables in it, and that's it. It's very, very small.
Has it
And
always been the
that,
same?
yeah, it's the same place all these years. You know, on top of it, the tenement building, it's on the corner of 114th Street and Pleasant Avenue. You know, so
Did,
like in the day, that's your question. Go ahead.
no. You carry on. You carry on.
No, I just said it was on the bottom. They own the whole building over there. You know, there's a tenement building on top of it. And then across the street to the right, you have Thomas Jefferson Park. And then you have Pleasant Avenue is only a 6 block stretch, and it's cornered in on both ends by Thomas Jefferson Park on 114, and then it goes to 120th Street, and on that side is Wagner Projects. The housing projects is on that side, so it's a very small area. And the history of Pleasant Avenue. Did you ever look up the history of Pleasant Avenue?
I see they've got a website, and I did read the bio of the website. But the thing is, it's very brushed over because they obviously the website want to give the perception that they're like squeaky clean and but really
Mhm.
there's been murders in there. There's been all sorts, hasn't there, over the years?
Oh yeah. Yeah, well, there was one murder in there, and that was roughly about 22 years ago. My
Oh,
father's friend. Okay?
not long ago
Huh?
then. Not long ago
No,
then.
no, no. It was like I said, even when it got famous, people would still go down, you know. But when it got famous, you just couldn't walk in there, you know, and get a table. Rayo's sells tables annually. They sell tables and they're open from Monday to Friday, 7 to 11. They're closed weekends, and they only accept cash. And if you get a table there, they have, you know, just basically, we'll put it this way. Pretty much Rayo's, all the tables are bought by actors, actresses, and all white guys. And they have that table Monday through Friday, 5 days a week. So basically, somebody could just say, "Hey, Rob, you want to go to Rayo's?" You're like, "Yeah, all right, here, take my table for the night," and you go down there, and that's how it is because you can't get a table over there. You know,
Have you ever
they
been
they, sell-
to Rose?
of course I have been to Rayo's, of course. Well, the owner now, the third generation, one of the owners is a friend of me and my brother's. Basically, he was my brother's friend. Mel Tortorici. And remember in The Sopranos, the first couple of years, remember Detective Harris?
Right, I only watched a couple of episodes of The Sopranos. I couldn't get into it, to be
Uh,
honest. But yeah,
it's crazy. All right, the first years, there was Detective Harris was the cop that was investigating The Sopranos. And he was the second generation owner of Rails. Frank, I forget his last name. I can't think of it offhand. So he was in The Sopranos for a couple of seasons as this Detective Harris, you know. And
yeah.
now Rayo's, they have two other places. They have one in Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas. It's huge. It fits 250 people. And the third one they have is in Beverly Hills. So basically, you know, they expanded out. It's about, I would say, about 15 years since they put in those other two rails,
Yeah.
and they're killing it,
Do you want to
and that's
say
basically that.
Yeah, I just want to say just quickly to hi to Michael Mormile, who's jumped on and said hello to you and me. So hi, mate. If you want to ask a question,
How you doing,
type it in
Mike?
type it in the chat, or you can jump on and ask Paddy yourself, or you just want to chat with him
Yeah.
about stuff. No problem.
Bring
So
them
how many
on,
times have you
bro. Bring them on.
bring him on? Paddy's
Huh?
up for it. Paddy's up for it tonight. How many times have you been in Rayo's then, Paddy?
Right. Right. I never been down here to eat, but I used to go in there all the time. You could sit at the bar, you know. My mother's girlfriend was the cook there for like 40 years. Her name was Anna McGuire, and she was one of the main cooks over there. But you can't get in. If you're Donald Trump and you walk up there, they'll tell him take a hike. Can't get
Really?
in. Yeah, there's no reservations. You see in New York City, you have to have a menu to put out. But Rayo's has a menu, but every night they make several dishes that is on the menu, and you just go there and then you eat, and they just serve these several dishes. They bring them all out. They give you a taste of everything. You know,
I take it as upmarket food.
it's what?
Is it like posh food, expensive food?
Yeah, yeah. It's great food. I mean, it's not cheap in Rayo's. If you're gonna go there with two people, you're gonna spend a couple $100 at least just on food. That's not counting drinks.
How
You
much is a
know,
table there?
I've heard tables going there for $100,000 a year.
100,000 a year. Wow.
Yeah,
And that's
it's
that's
it's
before food, is it?
is what?
So is that before you pay for food and drink? So you just pay for the table and then you go in and pay for your food and drink on top of that?
Yeah, yeah, exactly what you said, exactly. But you buy that table for the whole year, and it's pretty much locked up because there's only 10 tables. There is three booths, no, four booths, and six tables, and a bar, like a six-stool bar, kitchen, and restrooms. You know,
You're allowed
and
to
that's
go in
all
there and
it
have
is.
a drink at the bar, like stand at the bar and have a drink.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You could go to the bar and have a drink, but you can't get a table.
Okay.
That's the whole thing.
So like an average Joe like me or you, well, more me, could walk into Rayo's and like order a beer tomorrow.
Yeah, like they'll ask you, "Excuse me, sir. I want to go to I want to go to the bar. But usually the bar is filled, and then all the tables are filled, so you can't get in there. You could walk in, but they ain't gonna let you in if there's no room. It's packed. It's only it's and they're not open on weekends either. They're closed on
Yeah.
weekends.
Have you been into the other two Rayos then? You've been to the New York one, East Harlem. You've been to the others?
Yeah. No, I haven't. I haven't been to the one in Vegas or California. When I was living in Vegas, I moved there. I lived there from 2000 to 2004, and then like maybe 2 years later, they opened up the one in Caesar's Palace, and then after that, they opened the one in Beverly Hills.
Right. So you used to live in Vegas, did you?
Yeah, I lived in Las Vegas for 4.5 years.
Well, it's funny because like from stag party, I don't know if you call them stag do's over there, but where you someone's getting married, usually a bloke, they have like a knees up before the wedding, and they go, and a lot of them go to Vegas and have like a weekend or a few days in Vegas.
Yeah, you only Vegas. You only like basically everybody when you go there, you only stay there 3, 4 days tops. You know, that's the average vacation now when people go there to
What's it like
gamble.
living in Vegas then?
It was wild,
What's
man. I used to get up every morning, like 5, 6, and I used to go down to the casino, And I used to go and look at the board, all the bets for the night before, check everything out. If we won, if we lost, and I'd sit there and have my coffee, sit there for about an hour and a half, and I go down the board and check out all the games. See what I was going to bet for the day.
So you're a gambler, yeah?
Well, yeah, I used to be a gambler. When you're in Vegas, and it's just like you don't, Nate, when you live in Vegas, like nobody, people that live there don't go to the strip. They go to the neighborhood casinos, you know, and you go in
Yeah.
there because they have all hotel casinos, neighborhood ones all around. Because you don't go to the strip because it's too crowded, and it's just like, you don't want to be there. You want to go where you can relax, not just running around and trying to get through people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Jeff Nadeau's in the chat, and he
Oh,
asked,
tell Jeff Nadeau who I am. He knows who I am.
well, he asked, who is this guy? So who are you, Paddy?
Who am I?
Jeff,
Hey, Jeff, how are you, Jeff? I'm the
jump
one that
on,
was
Jeff.
emailing you, bro. I'm the
What
one that
number?
was emailing you for a long time, bro, and you called me a fraud.
Oh, God.
He knows who I am. He knows. Tell him to look at the name. He knows who I am.
Do you want to jump on, Jeff? I've chucked the link in the chat if you want to. No worries if you don't.
Yeah, so basically that's Rayo's, It's
Yeah.
you want me to tell you the story how it was founded?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, it was back in 1981. Now I read this in the newspaper. It was the guy that he was roaming around. He was coming up from downtown, right? Now he was, I don't know, you probably ain't gonna remember this guy. He used to be on ESPN. His son is or whatever you call on ESPN now, a sports reporter. His name was Dick Schaap, and they had a show. Well, they still have a show called The Sports Reporters. And Dick Schaap was coming from downtown up on First Avenue, and he got all the way up. He wasn't paying attention where he was, and then he stopped on First Avenue. And he asked somebody, where's the East River Drive, which is the FDR Drive that runs parallel to New York on the river, on the East River. So they told him, go up here, make a right down this block over here, which was 114. You go down it, and you go to make a left, and then a quick right on 116 to go there. So he's going down a block, he's looking around. So at the top of the block on 114, and where Pleasant meets 114, he stops, and then he looks to his left, and he sees his restaurant there. And he goes, wow, look at this. He goes, let me go try it. So he parks the car, goes into Rayo's, and back then it was still a neighborhood bar. It wasn't like it was now. Anybody could have walked in there. You know what I'm saying? And he walks in there. They make him food to eat and everything. And then after that was history. He came out and he was like, wow. He goes, I just found this food is dynamic. It's great. You know what I'm saying? And that he did a show on ESPN when he was alive. His son, his name is Jeremy Schaap. Jeff Nadeau should know this. Jeremy Schaap. It's called the Sports Reporters. He founded this place, Dick Schaap, the father, and he went and he started telling everybody about it. And then from there it blew up. A couple of months later, you couldn't get in the place. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's how it was founded, by mistake. By mistake, it was founded.
Okay. Jeff just said, I have heard the name Malizia in Harlem, a drug dealer from Pleasant Avenue, but that guy was pretty old. Yeah, Jeff, I don't know whether you want to explain, Paddy, your relation to
That was
the.
my father. That was my father and his brothers, the Pontiac brothers. I
Yeah,
tried
so
to email him, but he wouldn't listen to me. Kept telling me I was a fraud.
Right. Okay.
You
So
know?
yeah. So for people out there who don't know, maybe you as well, Jeff. Here's your father and some of his brothers, because they're a big family of boys, were involved in
It was
kind of
him.
big time.
It was my father and my Uncle Benny and my Uncle Larry. The other three, they worked, but they all, they Shylocked on the side, numbers and bookmate. But it was just my father, my Uncle Benny, and my Uncle Larry. They were the thing there.
Yeah, so they were kind of big time drug dealers, and they knew a lot of the mob, the gangsters, obviously other drug dealers, characters like that in and around East Harlem and wider. Spent a lot of time in prison. Some really comical stories of jailbreaks and the like. Also, some of your cousins have been involved in high profile
Yeah,
cases. One of them's,
yeah. Well, now,
so I think
my cousin
one of them.
Christopher,
Yeah, I was going to cousin Chris.
he's
That
doing life. He's doing
yeah.
life now, allegedly for the murder of Michael Meldish. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna get a new trial because the judge that was there, this Kathy Seibel, she ran that courtroom like a Nazi, you know, and she had like a fucking chip on her shoulder because her father was murdered by MS-13.
Oh,
And
really?
now
Wow.
yeah, her father was murdered by MS-13, and every motion they put up, she knocked down, and then she tried to compare MS-13 to the mob, which was laughable. They were like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" You know? And they
So
had read
yeah.
there was no witnesses, there was no gun, there was no tapes. The only witnesses they got was fucking fat rat fucking Frank Pasquale third, piece of shit that he is, John Panisi,
These guys are on
and this guy,
YouTube, aren't they?
yeah, John Panisi. He was the one that his grandmother told him that in her death, she told him to go cooperate, that he seen her ghost, and he
Didn't
wasn't
Frank?
even indicted or nothing.
No, wasn't Frank Pasquale on YouTube for a while? Didn't he
He was on
jump up?
Vlad. Vlad interviewed him. Vlad
Yeah,
TV.
he's
Yeah,
disappeared, isn't he?
Vlad
I
interviewed him.
haven't seen him about.
He's in jail again, the fucking cocksucker. He beat up his wife. He choked his
Oh, really?
son, and he's doing 5.5 years now. Now I heard he's down in Arizona somewhere. You know,
He's still in prison.
he yeah he was buddies with Gene Barello, your friend.
Well, enough said on that one then.
Yeah, so
um,
basically that's what happened. They got railroaded. You know, I mean, you go take a fucking word from these motherfuckers. You know, come on now. You know, they just totally bullshit. You know, I feel bad. My cousin, his father died about a year and a half ago. Chris, his mother, my cousin, my first cousin, she's got cancer. She has MS, multiple sclerosis. She ain't doing too good, and I just feel bad. You know, I was supposed to go visit Chris, but they locked down the prison over there in California, Victorville, the penitentiary. You know.
why did they
And
do that? What, COVID or a riot or
no,
what was going on?
no, there's always shit going on there. Who's getting stabbed? Who the fuck? It's a fucking nut place. You know, it's a bad penitentiary.
How is Chris? Do you like keep in contact with him on the phone or write
I
to him or email him,
spoke to
whatever?
him roughly. I spoke to him about 6 months ago. He called me, and I had before that. I hadn't spoken to him in about a year. And what is he gonna say? I'm doing good, but I remember one thing that he said to me. He goes, "Cause you don't know what it's like." I go, "What it's like? What?" He goes, "You got your freedom." And I just, well, what could I say? Basically, I says, "Chris," and I told him, I says, "Don't worry." I says, "You're gonna get another trial." you guys are gonna get fucking vindicted. You know, they're gonna find you guys because how could you take words from these pieces of shit? You know, they beat up women. You know, like John Panisi, he beat up his fucking wife, knocked her teeth out. You know, threw her down the stairs. Oh, it was his wife or his girlfriend. You know, and this other guy that they had, this guy, he wasn't even involved with the mob. This guy, David Evangelista, he was like a fucking dope fiend. You know, he used to go rob and everything. They let him out of prison by mistake, this guy Evangelista. They thought he was somebody else. And they let him out. And he was out. And then they grabbed him, you know, because they went as far as putting Frank Pasquale in the hole with my cousin, the shoe, all wired up. And he kept asking him all kinds of questions and questions and questions, you know. And my cousin just like, you know, he blowing him off. But he made up fucking lies. You know, he told me this, he told me that. Hey, how you gonna trust a guy like that? You know?
Yeah. Good afternoon, Marta Fowler. How you doing? If you want to jump on and ask me or whatever Paddy a question, then feel free. I'll drop the link in the box, and that's the same for everybody out there. Or you can just pop a question in the comments, and we'll ask them. So, what do you think the chances are that your cousin's going to actually get out, like get I guess a retrial or mistrial, whatever, and come out?
Well, it's 5 years already, basically. There's nothing yet, but he's got Dominic Crea. You ever heard of Dominic Crea, Justice Tech Pros?
Heard the name yet?
All right, Dominic Crea, that's Stephen Crea's son, his youngest son. And he owns a big, he's whatever you call it. He's not a lawyer. He's, what do you call the people that does the work for the lawyers?
Like a legal assistant type thing, are they?
Yeah, but they got a name for that. It's on the tip of my tongue. I can't get it out. But he does all the work like that for the lawyers. You know, a paralegal. That's it. He's a
Paralegal.
paralegal.
Yeah. Paralegal.
Yeah,
Okay.
they do all the work. And the last time I spoke to Dominic, or the only time I really spoke to him, I was on my friend's show, Ruckus Radio, and he was in the chat. And at that time, my friend Rich, that does Ruckus Radio, now it's the Power Hour, he was supporting them, you know? And basically, he went on there, and I was in the chat. He didn't know who I was. Because back then, when I went on Ruckus Radio, and they started doing a show on that trial, the Meldis murder trial, and I kept telling them, I says, you know, that's my cousin, chatting the chat, and they were telling me, so how you gonna prove it? I said, "Do I gotta prove it? He's my cousin. I can tell you everything about him, you know." And basically, they were like, you know, finally they went and they found out for themselves. You know, they talked to some people, and Dominic was in there one day, and he seen all this going on, and he in the chat, he said to me, he goes, "Hey, what's up?" I go, "Who's this?" And like in the chat, he goes, "Oh, this is Dominic Crea from the Justice Tech Pros." He goes, "I'm Stephen Crea's son." So that was like, you know, he did all the work. They found out, you know. I said, "You want to find out who I am and if I'm related, do your homework, do your research, you know." And it was true. What am I going to lie for, bro? Why should I fucking lie? You know, you got to be a real sick motherfucker to do something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Is your cousin, was he sentenced to life in prison?
He got 3 40 to life sentences, 3 of them plus 10 years. So now he's in there. He just made 9 years. So that's down. He's still got 3 life sentences in front of him.
What happened
And
to the
he's
other?
15.
Sorry, no, you go on. Sorry.
They all got the same sentence. Matty Madonna, Terrence Caldwell, and Stephen Crea. They all got the same sentence. 40-year life sentences plus 10 years. You know?
Are they all in the same block, in the same
No,
prison, do you know?
no. They at the beginning they were when they were all down at MDC in Brooklyn. for a long time. They were because I went to see my cousin down there when he first got pinched in MDC, and then at the end he was in Valhalla, which is up in Westchester. It's a town, Valhalla, and he was in the jail there, the county jail, until they took him, and then they shipped him out. He went on Con Air, and he made his rounds all the way around, And I remember him calling me from like when you go on Con Air, they fly you all over the place, and then at the mid of the United States, they had their transfer center, the Federal Transfer Center in Oklahoma City. So he was there, and he called me one day from there. He goes, "Man, it's like a fucking zoo here. They got us thrown into the bullpen with a bunch of people. The lights are always on because they're processing people and shipping them out to go to their destinations. And he got over there to Victorville in right when I moved out here. So it was it was late 2020, like September, and he's been there ever since.
How's he coping there? Obviously, he's not enjoying it, but is he getting on all right?
He's not enjoying it. Yeah, but the feds numerous of times, like when they see that, remember the escape that I told you or you read about? When
Which
he tried to escape, they said that was a
oh god,
ploy for him.
that's
That was a ploy for him to cooperate, which he would never do. My cousin, stand-up kid. He's 50 years old.
yeah, that was a brilliant story. He was
Yeah.
supposedly stockpiling dental floss and bed sheets and shredded like half his body weight and all this sort of stuff. And
Well,
yeah,
he lost a lot of weight. He was close to 300 pounds. My cousin. He had quit. He used to drink a lot. He quit drinking and he went on a health kick. And then he just lost all that weight. And they want to do that. And then they want to throw a priest in too, like my uncle.
yeah, there's a lot
They'll do
of
anything.
priest activity with your family and
Man,
crime, isn't there?
when I heard that shit, I was fucking hysterical, man. And I said to him one day, he called me. I said, how's that priest doing? Did you take care of him? And he was fucking laughing. I
It's
said, did
like
he get
history
his
repeating
money?
itself.
Yeah, it was fucking wild when we heard that. You're like, are they fucking kidding? They'll do anything to try to get you to cooperate. And they did him dirty one time. They took him from MDC one time, right? And brought him to Kennedy Airport, right? And they had a separate little jail over there for all the fucking rats. They took my cousin. This is how hard up they were. They took him from MDC and put him in Kennedy Airport in this little fucking prison they had for all cooperators. And they did that really bad. They made him look like he cooperated, but he didn't. And he had a big thing with Matty Madonna. He and Matty had a sit down about it. He's like, Matty, they're trying to fucking railroad me. You know what I'm saying?
Maddie believe him?
They, huh?
Did Maddie Madonna believe him?
Of course he believed her. But if it wasn't, my cousin's there because of my father and my uncles. He wouldn't be in that position if it wasn't for them. You know? Not saying what he did, but where he hung out. You know what I'm saying? Allegedly.
Yeah. Is the because your cousin is allegedly a member of Cosa Nostra, isn't he? Lucchese crime family, I think. Allegedly.
Yeah.
What's the landscape of? I guess you've got your finger on the pulse a little bit, even though you're not in New York anymore. But what's the landscape of organized crime, drug dealing, mafia in New York nowadays?
We're right on Pleasant Avenue. It's a whole animal. There is nobody there left. Everybody they closed up my uncle's club, and everybody stopped hanging around about the turn of the century, 2000. Because my father went away in '99. Him and my uncle they got pinched, and then not too long after that, they just shut everything down, and all these yuppies moved up there. Then they bought all the tenement buildings there and they turned them into Every floor is a flat, so they made a whole apartment on every floors, and there's nobody there. There's all basically it's yuppies, and it's like a third world country. You know what I'm saying? It's not like it used to be, not at all.
So
And
what's the
now
difference
it's
then? What's the difference
there's
in?
nobody around. What's the
So if
difference of what?
if I wandered round, or anybody wandered, you, well, let's say more of an outsider, wandered round East Harlem back in the day, compared to
Okay.
wandering around, say, like East Harlem tomorrow, what would be the difference between then and now?
You on Pleasant Avenue, you had 24 hours a day. You could go there and you could get multi kilos of heroin. You could go rent a machine gun. You could go borrow $100,000. You could fix a judge. There was always people there hanging out, and basically where they all hung out was right across the street from my uncle's club on Pleasant Avenue between 117 and 118. By the bar, they always used to sit out there and just hang around, and it was nobody could get in there because the cops tried to get in there numerous of times back in the years because it's cornered off at each end. Rayo's on one end, on the south end with the park, and then the other end on 120th Street, you got the projects there, Wagner Projects. But the last time I went there, because I was like, I can't believe this avenue totally went dead like that. Because you're going back years, man. You're going back into like the 20s that this place, even before that, very, very famous avenue. I mean, well, if anybody else would be infamous, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I was born there. I grew up there. And, we used to go back and forth, you know, had family living there. But when you went out there, basically, I used to see when I was a kid, I used to see all these guys walking up and down the street on Pleasant Avenue, and they had these big shopping bags, the old ones with the handles, the paper bag ones, like Macy's shopping bags, where you put a lot of stuff in. And then later on in life, I asked my father, I says, Dad, what's with these bags they're carrying, He goes, well, in those bags were multi-millions of dollars of money and heroin. That's how they would go around, walking around the avenue with that. And it was crazy. The cars be triple parked, and shit would be going on there like nothing, like it was like legal, in the open, you know. So
Sounds crazy.
basically, that's how it was. It was fucking nuts, you know.
Tony J says, "Good afternoons, greetings from Staten Island."
Yeah.
Did
How
you
are you?
Yeah, how are you, Tony? Thanks for the comment. Did you go to Staten Island at all in your youth or your later years?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. My cousin owned a building on Richmond Terrace. Well, actually, my father bought it for him. It was a big, in the 60s and 70s, it was a big feed store. There you go there, like, for birds and dogs and cats. And he also had a dealership there. Back in the day, they had, which was called, what was the name of that? I'm trying to remember. Oh shit, it's on the tip of my tongue. It was like a dealership for all like equipment to go farming with, and like to buy like backhoes and trucks and jeeps. I'll think of the name, but it's on the tip of my tongue right now. It was a dealership. You go there and buy all kinds of stuff, to dig with holes, and he had a big feed store there. And that was in the
Oh,
'60s and the '70s. I used to go. My uncle lived on Toad Hill. My father's brother, my uncle Vince, back in the '40s, '50s, and '60s. Toad Hill's a rich neighborhood.
so was Vince a clean guy? Did he have the right path, or was he involved in crime and stuff?
No, my uncle Vince worked for Con Edison, the power company for New York and the five boroughs.
So he
He
stayed on the
was,
straight and narrow.
yeah, but he was, yeah, I mean, they all dabbled a little, like they were number players, they take numbers, they would take bets, you know. But my uncle Vince, he was an alcoholic, first of all, you know. And he was pretty much him and my uncle Joe, the one that owned the barber shop on Wall Street. They were the pretty much clean ones of the bunch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Tony has just put a comment. He said, yes, he is very correct. Richmond Terrace is very industrial, and Toad Hill
Yeah,
is very wealthy. I have family up there.
yeah. I see. I was
Yeah.
a kid. I remember that. And my cousin just sold that on Richmond Terrace where we had that the feed store and the dealership. He got like almost $2 million for that building, and my father bought it for him in the '60s. They only paid like 42,000 for it.
Really?
Yeah, for years. Yeah, I remember going there as a kid.
Well, when did they sell it off?
My cousin, I think he sold it. I would say about 15 years ago.
Oh, wow. So
He got
quite
rid of
recently.
it. Yeah, no, maybe a little longer than that. No, it might have been longer than that because I remember he never fully paid back my father for when my father bought the place for him. I think he owed him like 15, 20,000. And I remember them calling him up, my cousin John. Chubby, his name was. They call him Chubby. And my father, when he came home, he got hit off with money. When he came home, my father got hit off for Matty the Horse Cianello, which he was very close to. He gave him 10,000, and also Frank the Wop Manzo, who was with the Lucchese family. They used to be. They used to run the unions in Kennedy Airport, the Teamsters and everything. And then another friend of his gave him 5,000, but my cousin still owed him money. And I remember my uncle Benny brought him down to the avenue one day, and he says, "Yo, Chubby, you got to pay back your uncle. If it wasn't for him, you would have nothing." And he was a cheap bastard, my cousin. He tried every which way to get out of it. I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Your uncle put all that money out for you. You never paid him back. Give him the money." And finally, he gave him the money that he owed him. I think it was like 15 or 20,000. They had to embarrass him basically. Because he was
To
a
get the
cheap,
money.
he was a tightwad. Yeah, he was a tightwad, my cousin.
Do you know one of the things that I didn't get round to discussing with you in our chat
Yeah,
was
yeah.
like the dynamic between mobsters in, say, uh, East Harlem compared to like the Bronx, compared to like Queens. You said that they were like bitchy, weren't they, with each other? They were always bitching.
I tell you right now, like, well, you talk about the Bronx. The Bronx in East Harlem was one. You know, that was the 116th Street group right there. That was the oldest and the most powerful, till still to this day. You know, and they got some guy, what's his name? A hippie Zanfrandino. He's the captain now. Which I was like,
Okay.
are you fucking kidding me? You know, Dominic Cicali's friend.
When you say that, you're kidding me. By that, I take it you're not keen on this captain.
Because he's a fucking nutcase, hippie.
He's a
When he
hippie, is
got
he?
that, no, that they call him hippie. His name, I think his first name is John. My ex name though, he knows his first name, but his last name is Zanfardino, which I think he might have been related to Jerry Zanfardino from Pleasant Avenue, from the book, The Pleasant Avenue Connection. I think they might be related. But
Okay.
he's, from what I hear, he's a fucking whack job, you know, and that they were saying like, yeah, I mean, he was using drugs. Who knows if he was using drugs a year ago that they were talking about, or still to this day? I never met the guy. You know what I'm saying? So I can't say nothing. From what I heard, basically, it's like a joke. Him running the 116th Street crew. I back in the years with Tony, like I told you, Fat Tony, that was his area. And my father was very close to Tony. Matter of fact, Tony loved my father. He was his protector. from everybody
Yeah.
else.
You, because it's funny because Eric Foss. Have you come across Eric Foss, guy who spent
I've
large
heard of
part?
him. I've seen his interview on Jeff Nadeau's, and then a couple other people. That guy, I heard he was away with a lot of these guys. You know?
Yeah. Well, he was saying, which it kind of resonates with what you've said before, that when he was in, when he was locked up, all the the mobsters used to bitch about each other. You know, it's like
Yeah,
he
yeah.
would talk to one and go, "Oh, he's whatever, this, that, and the other," and he said they'd be like old ladies. Now you've said that that's similar to what they were like when they were actually on the street as well, wasn't it? But different
Yeah, well,
areas.
it would come basically like from Brooklyn and the Bronx. There's no love lost there at all. They can't stand each other, and they continuously they bicker at each other like two fucking cunts, you know. And that it was always words said between them because they were jealous. Because back in the day when Gas Pipe and Vicamuso was there, they had the power. But originally, the Lucchese family comes from Harlem. All these guys came from Harlem, you know? And the power was in the Bronx after Gas Pipe got locked up with Victor Vicamuso, you know? And now it's back in Brooklyn. So they they will bicker and bitch at each other, you know?
So the power base, the power base of the New York mob, the five families, is back in Brooklyn, or the power of the Lucchese family is back in Brooklyn.
Lucchese family's back in Brooklyn. For years, it was up in the Bronx with Matty Madonna, Stephen Crea, Joey DiNapoli, which was my uncle Ernie was married to his sister for years, and then when they got pinched, he got divorced from Joey, Vinny, and Louie and Anthony DiNapoli's sister. He married her when he came home in 1994. And then they got my uncle, a job working in the union, my uncle Ernie. And then when he went away, they got divorced, and she wound up passing away like 10 years ago or something.
When you think about your father, I'm sure you've reflected on this throughout your life, and I guess it's
What do I think
a
about
new.
him?
No. When you do think about him, and I guess you do reflect on him now and again.
Yeah, of course.
What do you think of him and what he did and what he got up to? How do you kind of look back with it with like affection, or do you look back with it and kind of think, well, he robbed you of kind of precious years of your life with him? Do you kind of look back with a tinge of humor, or all of the above? When you think about your father, how do you think about
All
what do you
right.
think about him?
Well, this is how I love my father no matter what. And a lot of people would say to me, "Aren't you embarrassed of what your father and your uncles were?" I say, not at all, because they grew up. My father was born in 1924, so basically, when they grew up, they were dirt poor. You know, they never had no education really. They dropped out in like middle school. They had to drop out because their parents asked them to go to work. And they weren't going to work. They were on the streets, climbing through people's windows and everything as kids. You know, and my grandparents thought they were working because they'd come home with money every day. And we're like, "Where'd you get this?" "Oh, we sold newspapers, or we shined shoes, or did so and so." They didn't know for years what was going on. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and
basically,
that
they say I was not one bit ashamed of my father. He did what he had to do, and he fed us, and he fed a lot of people. And that's one thing that annoys me over the years. Because when he came home, I remember him from prison telling me, "Go see this guy. He owes me money. Go see that guy." When we would go and see them, they'd be like, "Oh, I ain't got it." I said, "Stop the fucking lying. You ain't got it. You know, you're so full of shit. Just tell me you don't want to pay, and I respect you more than that." But they never told me that. You know what I mean? And even when my father came home, thank God for Matty the horse and Frankie the Wop and his other friend Nicky. They put 20,000 in his pocket when he came home. You know, Because my
How
father took care of everybody.
when when he came home from his so when did he go to prison for like the final time? Because he died in prison, didn't he? When did he go? What
He
years did he
died.
go
He
to
went.
prison the final time?
They got pinched on the last bid when he died. They got pinched in February of '99 when they got set up by that guy Jimmy Lofton. And
So what?
before that,
Yeah.
go ahead, speak, Rob.
No. So when this so the time before the last time, when did he come out? So before his 1999 stretch, when did he come out?
Uh,
Before that,
Came home in August of '92. He had
right? So yeah,
gotten he had gotten Yeah, he had gotten pinched in 1980. He was on the lam, my father, from February of '71 to election day 1980 when Ronald Reagan got elected. He got pinched that day,
right. So
and
he
they
so
gave
he
him yeah.
so yeah so sorry. They gave in 1980. They gave him prison time,
He
and he
got
came out
20
in
years. Yeah, they gave him in 1980 when he got pinched. He was in MCC for like till early '82. They gave him 20 years because that was his second offense for the Babanya, you know? And he did on that, he did 12 years, 9 months, and he came home in August of '92.
So he had 7 years between 92 to 99 while he was out on the street. Did
Yeah,
you
6.5, really. Yeah.
6.5 years? Where was your mindset with him? Did you want him to? Because I guess he was knocking on a bit by then. So did you want him to stop getting involved? I guess he must have had a few quid in his pocket. Did he? Did you want him to
Yeah.
stop him from getting involved in what he was doing previously, or did you just let him do his own thing?
Well, basically, I could tell my father what I thought, but no matter what we thought, my father was going to do what he had to do. Only thing he knew, basically. You know what I'm saying? And like I told him before he came home, me and my brother kept telling him that it's totally changed. And he was like, "Don't worry, I'm coming home. It's me. I'm coming home." I said, "When you get home, you're gonna find out because I'm not wasting telling you all these times that this world has changed." You know what I'm saying? And when
What
he
do you
came
mean
home, he
by
found
that?
out
What do you
it's
mean by the
not the
world has
way
changed?
the world has changed because there's still number one, there's no stand-up guys that were left. Not guys like my father, my uncles, all these other guys that stood up and took their sentences like a man. You know, and basically the Babanya business was the Italians didn't have it no more. Basically the Colombians had it, the Asian, the Chinese had it. Now the Mexicans have it. So right about then it started changing in like the late '80s, you know. And he didn't believe it until he came home, you know. And he was like, "I can't fucking believe this change that we had control of everything." You know, my father goes back to the late '40s when he started in that business. Him and his brothers, and they revolutionized Pleasant Avenue. My father was a, a big shot over there for years, you know, and he was very low key. You can't really find too much about my father if you go online. You'll find my uncle, my uncle Ernie, with all his escapades that he did, and his son and my other. But my father, there's maybe a couple articles, and basically they knew him as Joseph Pasquale Malizia. He was always changing his name, my father. You know?
Your family are full of criminals. They've all got up to mischief one way or another. But you managed to
Yeah.
dodge that bullet, which is probably a bad turn of phrase. Um, which is quite remarkable, really. Was your father and your uncles, did they kind of encourage you down the route of drug dealing, or did they dissuade you from doing it? Where were they? I'm trying to get at how come you
Oh,
didn't end up getting
how
caught up
come
in
I
it.
didn't get in any trouble? Well, I gotta. Let me tell you this. I gotta thank my mother, number one, because she was always on top. You know, like she told my father years ago, "You get my kids involved, I'll fucking rat you out myself." You know what I'm
Do you think she
saying?
would have? Do you think she would have?
Oh, you got that for me? Yeah, my mother, she would have told on him in a second, and he knew it. you know. So basically, when I was really young, I mean, I went when he went away, I was only 14 years old. You know what I'm saying? But when he came home in '92, he, I would say, I said, Dad, I says, he right away he wanted to go on the street. And I says, you can't go on the street. You got parole. They're on top of you. You know what I'm saying? And then I really encouraged him. He says, listen, me and my brother Gary, I says, we'll step in and we'll take care of you until your PO gets off your back, you know? And he was reluctant, but then again, he was like, like in my family, they used to call it passing the apple down, you know? That you would get a chance to go, go show what you know. And, you could be good at it. You keep your mouth shut. But basically, I bothered him to a lot, and he says, all right, I'll give you a chance. Basically, we got lucky. That's the only thing I got to say. Thank God nothing happened, you know what I'm saying? Because right away, I get pinched. I'll get 5 years just for my name, Malizia. The feds can't stand my family, you know? So he was reluctant, but then, he was like, maybe I'll give him a shot. And he did. I think it was because he wasn't around all them years. I used to go see him on weekends when he was on the land. And my father was like that, because he was never around, you know.
Martha Fowler has a question for you. Was
Yeah.
your father a captain? I take it she means a captain in the mafia.
No, my father wasn't Cosa Nostra. They weren't Cosa Nostra. They were offered it several times. They turned it down. They did their own thing. They were top narcotics men. They knew all of them. They knew all of them, and they could have had them anytime they want. My father was like, "What? Why should I take it? Why should I have somebody that I gotta report to or give them my money? That's not him. You know, I mean, I know back in the day he used to hit Fat Tony off. He used to hit him off like around the holidays. And that was my father. He didn't want it. He didn't want nobody controlling him. Do your own thing.
There's a follow-up question from Marta. So, was your father an associate?
Yeah, yeah. I would basically say that he was an associate because all the books, they all that's how they paint everybody. Basically, you're an associate. Like I'm saying, he knew all these guys. He was friends with all of them, and they respected him because he didn't want to get involved. But he did the right thing. My father, he took care of them. Like if they had their claws in him and they would demand money. But my father used to just go around like on Christmas, like several times a year, and boom, boom. He used to hit Tony off, you know. And Tony loved him because he knew my father from when he was a kid. Tony was 12 years, 13 years older than my father.
Tony was another one, wasn't he, that didn't want your father or people drug dealing, but was quite happy to take the proceeds from it.
Exactly, exactly. That's Tony's famous saying: "Leave the junk alone. Go out and steal." But people laugh. Like Sal Polisi told me, he took the money. That's what the fuck you expect him to do? Leave it there?
Yeah. There's someone to look up to with that advice, isn't there? Deal with
Yeah,
the
it
junk
was
cards.
ridiculous, bro. Because if you know Fat Tony was I would say, the biggest number banker in the country, maybe in the world. The guy, he was unreal. Nice guy, real nice guy, Tony. You know,
Was he a family man? Did he have a wife and kids and all that?
yeah. Tony had a wife and he had one daughter. That's all he had because he used to go. He used to be in the neighborhood from Monday to Wednesday. And then Thursday, a car used to come for him, like about 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. And he had a farm up in Rhinebeck, New York, upstate New York. And he used to go there from Thursday, and then he would come back to the city Monday morning. And they had a couple other flats in the city. I think it was in the 70s or the 80s on the east side. He had a, condo back then, He had a couple of gumadas. And basically, that's what Tony used to do. He would sit there all day. You know.
I hate to tell you this, Paddy, but as we're talking, Italy are playing in the Euros and they're losing to
Oh,
Croatia. They're
they're
losing to
losing.
Croatia. There's 9
What
minutes
score?
left. It's 1-0 to Croatia. Luka Modric, hell of a
Ah,
player, scored. There's 9 minutes remaining, and it's a
we
possibility
got to
if,
hope for overtime. What they call it in soccer? Extra playing time or overtime?
well, it's injury time, which is within the 90
Yeah.
minutes. So if there's like an injury or time wasting, then they'll put on injury time. But when it gets
Okay.
into the later stages of the competition, so if it's a draw after 90 minutes, the full match length,
Oh, okay.
then they'll play something called extra time, which is 15 minutes each way. And then if they
Yeah, that's
still
what I
can't
said.
settle it,
Yeah, extra
it
time. Well,
yeah, it
let's see
goes
what
on to
happens.
penalty kicks. So if there's 8 minutes left, and if Italy don't win, or don't get a goal back, don't draw, then they could possibly be one of the shocks of the tournament, actually going out at the group stages,
Yeah, right.
which would be
Be eliminated.
yeah, which would be a shame. Um, England are playing
Yeah.
tomorrow, so God knows what's going to happen there.
Oh, yeah. How they doing? Did they win their opening round?
Well, they won their opening match and they drew their last game against Denmark, but it was a subpar performance, both of them really. But barring a disaster, England should
Yeah.
get through to the next round. So
To the knockout round. Yeah, the knockout round basically.
to the
Let's
knockout
see.
round,
You know, my team loses. I'm rooting for England.
yeah. Do you
You
watch
know,
soccer at all?
I'm not really, I'm not really a soccer fan. You know,
No.
I don't follow it too much. You know, but I'll watch it if it's on. It's like any sport. I'll watch. You know.
The US have got a really good women's team, haven't they? They did a Netflix documentary on them, which I thought was fascinating. They didn't do very well in that
Yeah.
World Cup, but I thought it was a really
Well,
interesting documentary. Sorry?
they won back to back World Cup. The
Yeah,
ladies in the U.S. they won back to back World Cups.
I think it was the
No.
last World Cup they did. They didn't do very well at all, and that was a Netflix documentary. But it's interesting that
Yeah.
the women are like one of the best in the world at soccer,
They are.
USA women.
They are.
But
They're really
but
good.
USA men are blinking hopeless. Then it's interesting that you've got the women's team, which are like almost, top notch, and the men's team, which
Yeah.
are nowhere really.
Well, years ago they had a good team. I remember. You know, the men's
Yeah,
going
I
back
probably I'm
20
probably
years.
doing them a
Yeah.
I'm probably doing them a disservice. They haven't got like a terrible team, but they're just not. They got a mediocre team compared to like the women's. You know?
The women, exactly.
Yeah, the women,
What are you gonna
good
do?
team. What's that?
We all have our time. You know. You know, they'll be up there one day.
Yeah, America tends to when they get their bit between the teeth with the sport, they tend to invest heavily in it, don't they? So I think they're kind of doing that slowly but surely with
Yeah.
the men's game. They've
Uh-huh.
yeah, it'd be interesting to see where they go, the men's team in a few years. Because I remember when they were growing up, when I was growing up, they weren't
Yeah.
really soccer wasn't really a thing in the States, but
No, it
now
wasn't.
it's kids
Now it
play it
is.
and there's teams and yeah, so it's good that it's kind of
My
it was all like
my
spoiled for choice
younger
over there, though, aren't you?
my youngest cousin, right? Well, he's my third cousin. He got a scholarship from Chaminade High School in Long Island to he went to college in the Bronx. He went to Fordham,
In where?
and
Sorry,
he got a scholarship. Yeah, my cousin. He played goalkeeper. His
where
name
was it?
was
Where did?
Richard. He played at Fordham University. He got a scholarship. I think it was a scholarship or half a scholarship. He was a goalkeeper for Chaminade High School in Long Island,
Oh
and
wow,
he
that's
played.
cool.
Yeah, he played in college, but he wanted to be a rock star instead of being a professional soccer player.
He was to
He
be
was
a
good,
rock
my
star.
cousin.
Is he a rock
Yeah,
star then? Did he succeed?
he's a musician now. He works, but he has a band on the side. You know, and they play around the city in Long Island.
Yeah. Let's talk about some mobsters. Let's talk about
Yeah.
or some interesting people um, outside of like the mafia. Who was? I guess yeah. You were about at that time. What was the word on the street of, or your knowledge of Paul Castellano? Did you have any knowledge of him? I know he wasn't in your area, but
No, the street there, he was basically what got him. Well, basically, they didn't like that. Number one, he had his maid there. But basically, first of all, he was doing Castellano, which he was charging more. For him, instead of charging 10% each crew, what Carlo Gambino had, he upped it to 15%. He started getting very greedy, Castellano. You know what I'm saying? And then after that, and then he was having his maid that lived with him. He was banging his fucking maid and with his wife in the house. And they did, and then the last thing when they found out that he had diabetes, and he couldn't get an erection, and he went for an operation to put a pump in. When they found that out, and then with that, and then with Gotti and Angelo and all them, and Gene Gotti with the drugs, that was it. Because my father, back in the 70s, before he got pinched in 79, my uncle was away already, my Uncle Murray, and my cousin was doing his thing. And he had a problem with Willie Boy Johnson, my cousin. It was like $10,000. And they wanted to kill my cousin Johnny. And my father had to go for a sit down with Willie Boy Johnson. I don't know who else was there. Because they were going to kill him over 10,000. And my father paid the 10,000. So, they gave him their money, so he got off him. But I remember him telling me, my father, he was sitting down with this guy. He didn't know who he was. Only thing he knew about him, that on his hands, on his knuckles, both hands, they had love and hate. And then he never knew basically who he was. Because my father was close with Sally Ruggiero. That was one of my father's guys back in the 70s.
oh
Him
wow,
and Sonny Red and Delicato. From they got killed, the captains, the Bananos, the three captains that got killed.
yeah, Joe Messina.
Yeah, yeah. Sonny Red and Delicato, Bruno and Delicato's father. My father was very close with him and Sal Ruggiero back in when he was on the Lamb. I think he was getting from them back then because he couldn't really do nothing. He was on the Lamb and he was hiding, but he was really low key, my father. But those were his two guys in the 70s.
Well, did your uncles move around in the similar circles to your father then?
Yeah, they were right around. They were always around, but basically nobody would deal with my uncles unless my father said it was okay. Because my one uncle, my older uncle, my uncle Benny, he was pretty much there for the ride. Because that was my father's older brother. My youngest uncle, Ernie, he was he was really crazy. My uncle, and people were more afraid of him. So they didn't want to deal with him unless they got the okay from my father. Because my father would say, "Don't do nothing stupid, Ernie." You know, my uncle was really a nutty guy. He didn't hang out with Herbie Sperl and Lewisburg for nothing. They were best friends.
Yeah, Harvey Sparling was an interesting character as well, wasn't he?
Every
Hello, babe.
month, 2 years, Herbie.
Hello, baby A. How you doing? Thanks for joining. Hope you're well. We're just shooting the breeze, aren't we? About mob
Yeah,
stuff, New York City, prison, football. Italy's almost out of the Euros. Well, maybe almost out of the Euros. They're certainly losing their
but I mean, how much
last
time
football.
left? About 3 minutes.
Say that again.
How much time's left now? About 3 minutes.
Well, they're into injury time, so
Uh, how long
they
they get
might
for
go.
injury time?
Every game's different. Depends how many injuries or time wasting. I think the average is about 3 minutes. But there
Three
was a
minutes.
game the
I
other
guess,
day. It was Scotland, where
yeah.
the goalkeeper literally was stretchered off, and there was about 10 minutes injury time, just because it was so long
Wow.
to get. Yeah, it's a lot, but yeah, no, 1 minute. It's 90 minutes plus one.
4 minutes.
So
Uh,
what
I guess we're
what
packing our bags unless the miracle happens.
Well, yeah, maybe. I don't know whether you might get in on a third place, so I don't know what's happening in the other group, Albania v Spain. I imagine that
Oh,
Spain
okay.
are thrashing the hell out of them,
We
but
still,
yeah,
we still got a chance.
still got a chance. What was I going to say? I was going to ask you about something. Surprise, surprise! I can't remember what it was now. It was on the tip of my tongue before I started talking about football. That's what football does to me.
Hmm.
Oh, yeah, that was it. So, what did your father and uncles say about you becoming an electrician? Were they like supportive, and your mother? Were they all supportive that you went down a trade?
They were happy, because I remember when I was in when I was a junior in high school, I hated school, and I remember I used to come back when I went to BOCES, the trade school, right? I used to go in the morning, and I'd go from like 8 to 11:15, and then I would come back to the school, and I had two classes. I had seventh and eighth period. I had social studies, which I loved, and then eighth period I had English. And that whole year, pretty much the whole year, I cut out on English. I went to social studies, history, and then took off. And I remember they left me back. I had to make up 6 months I was in my senior year, but I was a junior. And I had just finished up BOCES trade school. And in the summer, I was working with a friend of mine. Not it was a friend of my uncle. He was an electrician, so I had come out of trade school. They were happy, because I was like pretty much like I said, I was the only one in the family, pretty much on the boys' side, that wasn't a felon. And they knew I wasn't cut out for college. And I made the right choice, but I was guided that way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So, are you pleased you went down that route of an
Of
electrician
course.
as opposed to a kind of big time drug dealer?
And then they wound up my father's friends. They wind up getting me into local three, IBEW in New York City. You know, they got me in after a while. I was going into a lot of people trying to get in there, and one of my father's friends used to work at the racetracks, Aqueduct in Belmont, New York. Because back in the day, when my father used to get all that money, they used to give it to his friends, and they used to wash it through the racetracks. And this one friend of his, he was responsible for bringing local three in, and they got control of the racetracks. No, with the lights and everything, the scoreboards and the lighting. And he had a lot of pull. His name was Libby D. Simone, and he got me in. I remember in 1989. Everybody else, so I went to all kinds of wise guys and everything. Nobody could get me in except for this guy, Libby, and he got me in. And I thanked him for years. Anytime he needed electrical work, he would try to pay me. I said, no, take your money. No, you did me justice. So anything you need done, you call me, and I'll do it for you, no charge at all. You know, and that's what I did. My family thanked him very much. They did it for love of my mother and my father. Because they really liked them. Because they could have got a lot of people in, which they didn't. You know, and they seen how much I was trying to get in from other people and couldn't.
Yeah. Nick Romano from the Nick Romano show. Hi, Nick. Hi, Nick.
Well, Nick Romano, I was watching his interview with you last night, like 2 o'clock in the morning. His
You were
interview you
watching
did
it.
with him.
Did
Yeah,
you
I was
enjoy it?
watching it. Yeah, it was good. Comes from Staten Island, and I like what he said when he held up the store and he ran in and hid in the house and they grabbed him.
Subway, wasn't it? Funnily enough, one of my
Oh
I've
yeah,
got
anyway.
I've got a Subway just down the road, and
Yeah,
I'm often in Subway, and sometimes when I'm sat in there, I think of Nick. So
yeah,
bursting
he
through
was
the
very
doors, and
interesting. Yeah, he was very interesting, Nick. You know,
well,
I watched it last night, 2 o'clock in the morning. Couldn't sleep.
well, what more do you want to watch than two handsome men on your phone or your TV screen, eh?
Yeah, there you go.
Nick said he's going to jump on in a few minutes. He's just
Yeah, sure.
eating and
No
things like that.
problem.
He,
I welcome all comers. Come on.
yeah, come on, guys, jump on.
I like the
Ask some
challenge.
questions.
I love the challenge, yo.
Yeah, he's You missed Well, I say you missed. I'm sure you can talk about it in a minute, Nick. But we've been talking about Staten Island because another
Yeah,
guy in the chat, God, I forget who it was, said that they are from Staten Island. There we go. Tony J is also from Staten Island. So we've been chatting about Staten Island, haven't we? So yeah, okay,
yeah.
we'll give you 10 minutes.
Remember as a kid going there. I remember going to my uncle's house on Toad Hill in the '60s, early '70s, you know.
It was Castellano was on in Gravano, weren't they? Staten Island.
No, yeah, but Castellano lived on Toad Hill. Sammy the Bull lived, I think, in Bull's Neck part of Staten Island. You know something? That's how they say he got his nickname because where he lived in Staten Island. I heard not
Well,
because he was a bull.
really, because he tells a story that he fought like a bull when he was a kid, didn't he?
Oh,
That's
he's
his story he
full of
tells.
shit.
I was going
Fucking
to
lies
ask you,
more than more, Sammy the Bull.
what's your view on? I was going to ask you that. I guess I know. Well, do you watch Sammy the Bull? Because obviously he was
I
whether you love
watch
him
him
or
at the beginning. Like at the beginning, I used to watch him, and then basically when there's nothing else on good, like on YouTube, I'll go to him. You know, because I don't sleep much. I sleep maybe 3 to 4 hours a night sporadically. I'm up and down. You know what I'm saying?
I've got
And
good news for
he
you. I've got good news for you. Sorry, news flash. 8 minutes into injury time, Italy have
8 minutes.
equalised.
Oh, they
Hey,
scored.
they've scored.
About time.
So yeah, about
When happens if
time.
we get a draw? What happens if we get a draw?
3 games. Italy get a draw. I'm just trying to figure it out. I think they go to fourth, depending on what they've got a good chance of. To be honest, I don't know because it's not showing me the live table. So I'm not going to
Right?
try to bullshit it. Um,
No,
do
you
you?
gotta base on what happens. You know, you gotta wait for everybody to play, basically.
I'm going to ask. I'm going to ask this question. We'll continue talking about your mate Sammy the Bull. Michael Mormile. I think he's asking you a question. Did you remember Belmont when they built the winner's circle?
At Belmont Racetrack,
Like Belmont racetrack, Michael?
I would surmise that. Yeah, Belmont.
Can you
I'm 58 years old. You know, the winner's
can you
circle.
can you remember when they rebuilt it? It doesn't matter if you can't.
I really, to be honest with you, no, because you know, I mean, I used to go to Belmont, you know, but not, I was a horse bug. I was more of a trotter bug, the trotters, you know. When they had Roosevelt Raceway and they had Yonkers Raceway, I used to go to flats every once in a while, you know. My uncle was a big flat guy. He used to go to Belmont and Aqueduct every day.
Michael said, yeah, back in 1989.
I
There you
really
go.
don't remember.
Right. Let's bring in Mr. Romano. Nick
Hey,
Romano, how are we?
what's up, guys? What's up, Rob?
Hey,
Pasquale, how are you today, buddy?
all right. It's call me Patty. Everybody calls me Patty.
Patty, you got it, man. It's good to see you guys. Rob, I stopped my lunch just so I could come hang out with you.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah,
Appreciate
great to
that.
meet you. Like I said, I was
I did.
watching your interview last night.
Yeah, yeah. I heard you laughing about my subway incident, man.
Yeah,
I
that
was
was
in.
funny, man.
Hey, listen, I hear you talking about some of the unions and stuff, man. My godfather, I don't know if Rob told you, or maybe you check out my video. My godfather was running the local 400, man, with the Persicos for a long time up there, bro. My family goes
Oh
all the way
yeah.
back. Yeah, yeah, bro. My godfather, Johnny Boy Ganone, was running that local 400 union all the way up until 1999. That's when everything fell apart. The kid Chris Paciello started ratting.
Yeah.
And he ratted out Persico, and it went all the way up. And they got my godfather for like conspiracy. He had to do a couple years, but he stepped down and
Yeah.
he gave the position to Persico, to Frank Persico.
Can you turn your mic up
What
slightly, Nick,
union was that?
please?
The local 400 was production
Right.
workers and the iron, all that shit, man. It went back to
Oh,
literally
okay.
a long, long time. They were in control of that union. If you look it up, man, just all the way up until '99, and
Yeah.
that's when the party was over. But I heard you saying that you got in the union, or maybe somebody got you in.
The party was over.
Did you get somebody to get you in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
union?
My father and my mother's friend.
Yeah, we had a pit.
Yeah, yeah. My father's friend. I mean, I went to, let me tell you, I went to numerous wise guys my father sent me to. They couldn't do shit until
Yeah,
my father's friend, because he worked for in Belmont and Aqueduct. He brought Local 3, the electricians union, into the racetracks, because back then they weren't part of doing the scoreboards and the lights and everything, and he brought
yeah,
them together. That's how he had so much power.
yeah. Those are
Huh?
big money contracts, man.
Huge, huge.
Yeah, yeah.
You
My
know?
my friend,
Yeah, he got me in Local 3.
I gotta get you hooked up with my buddy, man. Were you a big horse fan too, or no? Were you a big horse guy, Patty?
Yeah, I was
Okay, yeah,
more of a trotter.
yeah, yeah. Well, those are fixed. That's why you like the trotters. Those guys were pulling back on the horses. They were pulling back. They were
I
choking the
remember
fucking
that.
horse. They're choking the
Yeah,
horse.
like he
They're
was
pulling the
skiing.
horse back. They're fucking choking the horse.
Yeah, I remember. I remember that one jockey. His name was LeChance, Scott LeChance, and they
Yeah,
suspended him twice for doing that. He was
yeah,
like in
yeah.
ski. He was like fucking water skiing.
The fucking horse is trying to run fucking as fast as it could. The guy's dragging the thing
Yeah,
backwards.
yeah. They were corrupt, the trotters. They were. I remember that shit.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, we used to go to Saratoga. I had a buddy that had a place up in Saratoga, so we used to go once a year with all my
Every,
friends when
every,
Saratoga was running, and we had the OTB.
still
We had the
runs.
yeah, yeah. No, I know
It runs
Saratoga.
in August.
Yeah, yeah. August. That's
Every August.
we used to go like 10 days,
Yeah.
man. We used to have a ball up at the track.
Nice up there,
Oh,
Saratoga
it's beautiful.
Springs.
It's
Beautiful.
beautiful, bro. And we used to have in Staten Island, we had the OTBs. I used to go see my uncle all the time. He'd be in the OTB all day. Or my father's,
Yeah.
partner work. He had a jewelry store next to the place on Forest Avenue. Well, you're from Brooklyn,
So
Pat?
I'm from East Harlem,
Oh, you're from
Pleasant
East Palm.
Avenue.
I used to go up to
Yeah.
100. I used to go up to 125th Street and Malcolm X Boulevard. I used to deal with some Dominicans up there.
That's worse. 125th Street, even like on from Lexington to Park,
Yeah,
that's a drug shop over there. And then on the
yeah,
west side, it's fucking nuts. I used to be running around there when I was a kid. You
yeah.
know,
How old are you, Patty? If you don't mind me asking.
58.
You're 50. I'm 45. My brothers are your age though. I got brothers that are
Yeah,
58 and 60. So I was the youngest.
yeah. I'm the youngest. Me and my brother were 11 and a half years apart.
I got you. But my father, I mean, just a little bit. I know this is his and your interview, but a little background. Like my father was a knockaround guy. He had a social club his whole life and all of that stuff. He took sports bets and,
Uh-huh.
he had his people with who we were connected to. And my godfather was the president of the local
Uh-huh.
400. Some of these people, man, they just don't realize when you grew up in an area like that, you had a lot of these
Yeah,
family ties or connections. My family comes from Red Hook. They come from South Brooklyn their whole lives. That was like a
but
den. Everybody came
Yeah,
from there.
Carroll Street.
Yeah, President,
Carroll
President,
Street, downtown
President,
Brooklyn.
President Street and Carroll Street.
Yeah, it's nice. That was a hot area down there.
Bro, all the guys.
My father knew a couple people from down there.
Yeah,
You
you
know.
had. Yeah, you had the Gallows, you had the Gallo crew, you had all these guys running around independently. These people don't realize how many people were running around independently back then.
But you know what it is, Nick? A lot of people will tell you you're full of fucking shit. How many people to tell me that? Yeah,
Yeah,
you ain't nothing. You're full of shit. All
yeah,
right, I'm full of shit.
I know.
But
But
I got articles and news and everything to back me up. My
listen,
cousin's doing
listen.
120 years for the Michael Mellis murder, allegedly.
Right. Yeah, and for me, I've been experiencing a lot of the shit, the same shit. Not because I was this big guy
Yeah,
myself. I was a street kid with a bunch of different family connections. I got myself in a lot of trouble. But when you start, these people again, they just question who you are, what your background is, where you came from, and
yeah,
they never as much stole as a piece of gum from a store.
exactly. 'Cause you know how YouTube is. They're all fucking trolls.
Yeah. I'm only here a couple months, man. I'm literally here like 3 months, Patty. So I'm pretty new, and I don't want to take up
How
all
many?
your guys' time.
No, it's
How
cool,
many?
Nick.
Yeah, you can stay on it. How many subscribers you got, Nick?
I just got over 1,000, like Rob, maybe a couple days ago.
Yeah,
So
I'm gonna go subscribe to the channel because I picked it up. I heard of you,
I
and people talking shit. Like I'm telling you, they saying the same shit. You're full of shit,
I know,
and I just
I
writing
know.
there, yo, you don't know what the guy's about.
Yeah, yeah. No, I know. A lot of people came at me like that, bro, in the beginning, and I think some people are
Yeah,
starting to realize, at least the right people, that this kid is 100% real. I'm not on here to bullshit anybody. So, I had a couple stories. I didn't come on here and say I'm fucking John Gotti or Sammy the Bull Gravano. I
yeah,
came from
right?
the I heard you talking, bro. I used to go by Castellano's house on Toad Hill all the time. Sammy's house, he lived in Bull's Head on Lambert's Lane. He lived 3 blocks from me, around the fucking block. So we
Yeah,
grew
but
up in all these neighborhoods, man.
yeah, but a lot of people say he got his name from where he lived, not because he was a bull.
You know what? He put it in the book. I read his book, Underboss, years ago, and he says that
Yeah,
he's got his bicycle stolen, and all the guys called him the
yeah,
bull that way. And I don't know what the fuck to believe. I don't care what they call him anyway.
yeah, exactly. He's such a fucking lies. Every other word that comes out of his mouth's a lie.
Listen, a lot of these guys get to the point where obviously there's a lot of Hollywood that starts to come into play. So I think some
Yeah,
some of the stories might get stretched a little bit a certain way. Or I mean, listen, I'm not going to say Sammy wasn't who Sammy was, because he had a lot of power on
no,
Staten Island.
yeah,
He
he
did
did. Yeah,
all the construction, all those companies he had. If you were doing shit on Staten Island when Sammy was around, chances are you were going to have to go through Sammy. So I don't want to make
yeah,
it like, but yeah, his stories, I understand what you're saying, Nate. Sometimes they might stretch a little bit.
yeah. Shreds. He's like a fucking bunch of skid marks running all over the place.
Yeah, no, I agree. I hear you. How long have you been on? A long time yourself, Pat? Or
What on YouTube? No, I started. Believe it or not, I did my first interview with chatting with Stacks.
Oh, okay. And I heard that didn't go too well. You didn't like the guy. I watched some of your interview.
No, yeah, but I was around him. But later on, right, I got invited on to the Lifetime of Mafia Tales with Sal Polisi and Adrian
Okay.
Martinez.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm
I,
familiar.
and I yeah, and I went on there, and I wound up becoming close with Sal. And Stacks was like, "Do you know what he is?" I said, "What do you think? I'm fucking stupid, bro." Because Stacks is like, "Rat this, rat that, rat this, rat." I mean, when I was a kid, I was all about that shit too.
Right.
But Sal, in a way, Sal didn't maliciously do something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like cooperate. I mean, he had. I respect him because he had two young kids, and he seen how everything was changing. how they were killing off people and
Yeah.
doing this and doing that. I mean, he took out a judge. They had a judge under them, Judge Brennan from Queens. He was or whatever you call a judge, a Supreme Court state judge, and
Oh
he was
wow.
taking bribes as well,
Wow.
you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And they had him in their pocket. Dominic Cataldo had him in his pocket,
Okay.
you
And
know. And he, go ahead.
no, no, no. I'm sorry. You said Dominic Cataldo, but I'm trying to think. Like the name is ringing a bell. He was with who?
Sal was with Dominic Cataldo, the Colombos.
The
Dominic
Columbos,
Cataldo
right?
was
Yeah, 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 yeah. I knew the
Dominic
name sounded
was a
familiar.
hitman.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
little Dom. Yeah, that was him, and they had this judge. You know, and this guy was fucking corrupt as a motherfucker. You
Yeah,
know?
they had a lot of guys like that, bro. I heard stories again, even from my uncle, my godfather, stories back in the day
Yeah,
that these people don't realize too. Like the whether it was the Persicos or other people, not everybody in the family was mob guys. They had lawyers, they had fucking doctors in the family, they
yeah,
had cops in the family. Everybody thinks like, okay, these people only were mob guys. The rest of the family was spread
yeah,
out in legit businesses all over the fucking place, all over the country.
yeah. Exactly. They did like a foundation for them. You know, like what's his name, son? From the Gambinos, Nicky Carrazzo. No, Nicky or JoJo. His son's a lawyer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, yeah, these guys again,
Carrazzo.
they put their
He's
kids in.
No, JoJo Carrazzo's son.
Yeah, I mean, you seen even with Alley Boy or whatever, man. They had all knowledge on the stocks
Yeah,
and shit, and the cousin was involved. All of them guys were sharp guys, bro. They
yeah.
started to know how to make money without sticking guns in people's faces. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah. Hey, well, that's what they wanted. They wanted all their kids to do well. Did they want them to follow in their footsteps?
No, definitely not, man. My father, unfortunately, my dad died of cancer when I was 14. So
Uh,
we had a lot of
Sorry to hear that, man.
thank
That's
you.
all right.
I appreciate that. But we used to have a lot of
Yeah.
conversations when he was dying, and we'd talk about life, the street, and things. And he
Yeah.
made a lot of good points to me, man. And I fucked up a little bit when my dad was on his way out. I hold on to a lot of that guilt because I got in trouble with a
Tough,
wise guy.
man.
I got in trouble with a wise guy myself. I robbed the house. There was a whole big fucking thing. And this is part of my story later that I'm going to share. But these guys were all
Yeah.
hooked up with. They were hooked up with Joe
Yeah.
Watts and Fat Don Borghese. That this was a nightmare
Yeah.
that I got myself into. So I'm going to talk
But
about
let
that
me tell
later
you
on.
something. Let me explain something. You're lucky you had your father, even though he was dying. My father died in prison and dropped
Uh,
dead on the floor. The last guy he seen was Johnny Echo's Campo Piano, and he
I'm
had
sorry.
5 months left to come home.
I'm sorry,
20
bro.
years ago.
I'm
Thank you,
very
man.
I'm very sorry. My condolences, bro. That's yeah,
Thank
that's a
you.
different that's even a different animal that you couldn't be with him and all of that and
Yeah.
that's got to be rough, bro. I'm sure that's a side that again maybe people don't talk about that much, but I know what you
Yeah.
feel. I know what you feel, brother.
Yeah, he just dropped. He had congestive heart failure,
Congestive heart
and he
failure.
was
Yeah.
filled up with water, and he was talking to Johnny Echoes, and he dropped on the floor, and Echoes, they left him on the floor for 45 minutes, Nick, and he died on
Yeah.
the floor.
Yeah,
I
they're
tried to
fucking
shoot him.
I know. Yeah, scumbags in there. A lot of
Yeah,
scumbags.
nobody would take the case.
They
Nobody would
wouldn't
take
take.
the case.
They wouldn't pick up. Oh, they wouldn't take the
Yeah,
case. Yeah, I know. Yeah, again, it's all fucking politics and fucking bullshit.
yeah,
That's a shame, man. That's really sad. And again,
yeah,
it's rough when you got losses like that, or even for me, like I said, when I was a kid, man, my father was my idol. I went to Catholic school, this and
yeah,
that, and my father died. A lot of things changed, bro. I was very rebellious
yeah.
from that. So it was
Well,
when sometimes when you lose people, man, especially at a young age, it takes a long time sometimes to come back from that, bro.
yeah, I know. I was 20 years ago. I was 38, and I
Yeah,
remember getting the call that morning. The chaplain called the house.
right.
And my brother picked the phone up and he goes, some guy named Chaplin wants to speak to you. I heard that. I said, something ain't right. And I got on the phone and they told me, the chaplain told me what happened, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that it was your
Crazy.
father. Was your father, was he locked up because of, like, I didn't get that story. Was your father a wise guy, connected, just a knock around guy, or?
My father was a big narcotics man
Okay. Big narcotics
on
guy.
Babanga,
Gotcha.
Pleasant Avenue. My father was there from the 40s.
So he was, what was that? Tony Duck's area, or
Tony Salerno, that was my father's man, Fat Tony.
yeah.
Fat
I
Tony
knew a
Salerno.
Yeah. Well, we had a guy come over from that did some of the sit downs when I got in trouble. It was this guy Eddie Fisher,
Yeah.
and he was very familiar with some of them guys up there. Eddie the Irishman Fisher.
It sounds familiar, yeah. Yeah, but from that area, I used to see Fat Tony every day, you know? And he'd be sitting there chomping away at the cigar, you know? Ah, what's up, kid? What are you doing, you know? Nothing, Tony. Where's your father? He's telling me. I says, you know where he is. You know, I mean, where is he? What place? You know, my father died in Fort Devens, the medical center up in Boston.
Right, guys. I'm just going to say a few
Yeah,
shout outs.
well, I thought he went dead for a second.
I was just didn't know whether you guys had finished, so I thought I'd give you a chance.
Yeah, Robbie.
The Truth has joined us with some very positive comments for all three of us. He calls you a hero, Nick. And he says you need to do more shows.
There you go.
Nick's reading it
Can you
now.
hear us?
Thank you for your kind words, baby A.
What's
Much
Nick on
appreciated.
mute? What is he on mute or something?
I don't know. Yeah, we can't hear you at the moment, Nick.
Yeah, he's on mute. That's why it went silent. And I was like, what the hell happened?
Right. He'll just reset his mic and he'll be back in a sec. And Paul Atkinson has just come on the chat and said, yo, Nick and chatting Nick. So yeah, cool. You back with us, Nick?
He's silent.
I'm just going to if you can hear me, Nick, something you might be actually, if you're going to fiddle about your mic, I'll tell you in a sec. But when he gets back, yeah. So until Nick gets back, you were talking about Gravano before Nick joined. Yeah. What impact do you think he had on the Mafia? What he did?
What he did? They could have convicted Gotti without him, and he knew that. Because when you speak and you're caught on tape like that, how are you going to defend yourself? You know what I'm saying? So he just jumped on. He was tired of everything because he was taking over that little bastard. You know, they wanted to kill him, but they should have, Gotti and them, because he was like basically taking everybody over, killing them, taking their businesses, and they were afraid he was going to take over that family. You know. That was bullshit what he said. Gotti told him he had to take the rap. Bullshit. You know?
I think he kind of like disclaimers him from what he did.
Yeah, he was tired of it. He says, fuck it. You know, he had all kinds of money. Fuck it. I'll fucking rat him out. You know, I'll go live my own thing. But it came back to bite him in the ass with the fucking ecstasy thing. You know?
Yeah.
That's what happened, man.
A guy who I actually met here in the UK, like face to face, called Sean Atwood. He was a UK guy. He's got a hell of a story.
Yeah,
he went to.
Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah.
He call him Ecstasy Sean, right?
Say again, English Sean. Yeah. So he ended up.
Ecstasy Sean, right?
Yeah, they used to call him Ecstasy Sean, and when he was in prison, it was English Sean. But he went to the States, Arizona, and started dealing ecstasy. Became a big time ecstasy dealer. Sammy the Bull came into the area, and he and his family were involved in the ecstasy ring, and they were having an ongoing battle with English Sean, and they all ended up going to prison. Sean himself, and he became friendly with Sammy the Bull's son,
Gerard,
That's
yeah.
the one. Yeah, Gerard Gravano. Yeah, and
Let me ask you a question. Do you believe
go for it.
Sammy, right? Here's the guy, right? Don't make no sense. He's holding on to $3 or $4 million when this was happening, right? And his son was in debt for $50,000. And then he made him do all this shit when he could have gave his son the 50,000. You know what I'm saying? Why would you go through all of that if you got $3 or $4 million and put yourself in jeopardy and your son in jeopardy and your family when he could have just peeled it off the top and gave it to the kid?
I think from you asked me what my opinion is. I think Sammy the Bull's one of these people that can't take um, responsibility for his own actions. There's always a higher reason why he did something or why he didn't do something. So
Exactly.
obviously the John Gotti thing, his story um, makes him look good in a sense that it was a noble thing I did, this, that, and the other. I
Yeah,
would have. It wasn't
you're
me. It was in the fact.
absolutely 1,001% right, Rob.
It wasn't me. It was in fact John Gotti who was the rat, which is a kind of perverse way of thinking.
Yeah.
I don't.
Well,
When he first came on, I was quite enamored with him. I quite enjoyed his stories, but I don't really.
yeah.
If he does a live or whatever, I'll jump on now and again. But don't really like watch him. But fair.
Yeah,
But
I heard.
at least he's leading a legitimate life. I think
Yeah,
doing what
but
he's doing better that than doing other
I
stuff.
heard he's
What?
charging. I heard he's charging money when he does these lives for people to ask questions. I heard he's charging 25 a question, twenty five
Yeah, I
dollars
think.
per question.
Yeah, you're definitely more likely to have your question answered when you put some money towards it. But I guess
Yeah,
his argument would be that he's not doing it for free.
yeah, exactly.
No?
Because he told all the stories already. You know,
Yeah.
he's fresh out
Where's
of story.
he's fresh out of stories? Yeah. Where's Nick gone? When we Nick, jump on
Oh, he
back on
jumped
if you
out.
can. If not, I'll tell you the story when we're off camera. Nick, I just wanted not off camera. Sorry, while you're off camera and
Why
I'm
did
here.
he go mute like that? Was it him? His mute? He muted it, or was it the channel?
No, I think occasionally his mic just clicks off. I
Oh,
said
okay,
to him because
okay.
I had an issue with my camera when I first started, and I was running very low RAM. I don't want to get too
Yeah.
technical because I don't really know what I'm talking about. So it could be something to do with that or fault with the micro system. I don't really know, but now and again, infrequently, kind of his mic kind of cuts out. Hopefully, he'll jump back on in a minute.
Man,
What do you think? While we're waiting for him, what do you think of Michael Francis, Paddy?
what do I think of Michael Francis? Well,
Yeah.
I like
What's your view
Michael
on him?
Francis. I like Michael Francis. You know, like he has a way. He cooperated. Just put it that way. He has a hard time saying that he spoke to the government. What's so fucking hard? You know,
Does.
I didn't put nobody away. I didn't do nothing to this guy. But you cooperated. You spoke to the government. And I'll tell you one thing. When I went to go see my father back in, I think it was 84, 85. I was walking in to go see him up in uh, Otisville, up in New York, upstate New York. And I walked in, I never forget, and Michael Franzese was sitting right there as I walked in. And he was waiting for his wife. His wife had came in. I could have touched him on his fucking shoulder. Right? So look who it is, Michael Franzese. And I just walked over. But he has a hard time committing that he spoke to the government, which he did. You know?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
We got you, buddy. We got
Yeah,
you
Hey,
they
now.
hey,
can.
hey, Rob. Hey, guys. Sorry. Yeah, I don't. Rob, I think my sound was good. I don't know if you might have muted me on your end.
No, don't
No.
accuse me of muting you. I swear to God, I didn't
Really?
mute you.
Okay. Yeah, I guess it was me then, man. But mine was everything was showing that I was good. So I don't know.
No, I
Sorry
promise
about
you,
It
that.
mate.
just went
Hand on heart, I
quiet.
didn't mute you on that one.
Yeah, it was probably the Amish Godfather, bro, to cut
You
down
missed
my
him. He was on here earlier, Nick. You missed him.
I know. That's my buddy. But I heard what you were saying about Sammy, man, and a lot of stuff that you're saying, Patsy. But it's Pat, right? Patsy.
Patty. Pasquale,
Patty.
really. Patty. Everybody calls me
Patty.
Patty.
Yeah, no. What you were saying, Patty, I agree with, man. He was taking over a lot of these guys' companies, and he was getting very
Yeah.
big. he was getting very, very big, and powerful. So I think that was a lot of the greed. Again, that's just my personal opinion. And with Michael, I've been saying this for the last like month now.
Yeah.
He did a couple interviews. He keeps walking it back. He's pretending he didn't have a 302. Oh, I didn't know. Maybe,
Man.
yeah. And
You can't fake that.
he's a bright guy. Obviously, he's successful and he knows what
Smart
he's doing.
guy.
Yeah,
I
he's
mean, yeah, he's a very smart guy, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. He's college educated and all of that, bro. I got a GED. I left school early. Some of these guys, they're very educated, man, and you can't take that away. The guy knows what he's doing in
Yeah.
business. I'll tell you that.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, he was supposed to be a pediatrician when he was younger. He quit college because of the
yeah.
father, because of the
Yeah,
son.
yeah, yeah. He was definitely he would have went that route, and I think whatever Michael did, he probably would have made himself a fortune. Whether he was cutting corners or if he was legit, I think he would have did just as well.
Exactly.
It would have took a little longer. You know what I mean? But he would have got there. He's a sharp guy, man.
Stop. He's got the wine. He's got the pizza joint slices. He's
Yeah,
speaking everywhere. He's all over the country.
yeah.
But
He
the
does.
UK loves him.
Those speaking, you know what he must get for those speaking engagements alone? That they bring him to another country and shit. Forget about it.
He must
You
get
say,
probably close to $100,000 a
Yeah,
speech.
I almost a little bit north of that. I think he might
yeah.
be.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Talking
they
about you.
love him. They love him in the United Kingdom.
Well, you
Yeah,
say that they love him in the United Kingdom, but recently in his last tour
They
over,
do.
a lot of the venues closed him. They refused to have him. There was protesters outside, and
really?
For what?
yeah, and the reason different venues gave different reasons, but it
Yeah,
could have been because of his views on Israel. It could have been because he was
okay.
interviewing these Tate brothers. It
Yeah,
could have been because of
yeah,
Yeah.
his kind of views on masculinity,
yeah,
etc. But
Mhm.
yeah.
they don't say that. These venues don't say that. These venues will say, "Oh, it's because it's for our own protection," or
Well, no, you're
"Oh,
right.
something happened." But
He's dipping his feet in a lot of the politics and a lot of the Ukraine stuff. And once you start talking about all of that stuff, you could guarantee, man, you're gonna have the pushback on the other side. That's for sure.
do you know?
Exactly. It's
I'll
all
tell you a
the
little.
politics.
I'll tell you a little story
When you
about.
start talking politics. Yeah, Rob, again, I'm sorry.
Yeah, right. I just to wind him up. He was on Twitter. Yeah, I think he probably still is.
Yeah,
But this was before he kind of got big, like a big channel.
okay.
But he used to so he used to like get involved in arguments on Twitter and post stuff and all this, all
Yeah,
political. And I used to go on there and just say something that would just wind him up. And he used to go
yeah,
absolutely blinking mind. Oh, you're a Democrat. And obviously, I don't really give a shit about Republicans and Democrats. It's not my bag. But and then sometimes I
yeah.
used to private message him, and then he used to like message me back, and we used to have this like, and he would get, and I used to say to him, "Why don't you just calm down? Just calm down about it and just chill." Because he used to get really, really irate, and he still does. You can tell on his
Yeah.
interviews. If you
Well,
say
you see,
anything anti-Trump or you start saying things like that,
yeah,
he goes off
he
it. It's
gets
quite
bent
funny
out of
actually.
shape. Well, you
Sorry.
see what happened when Sammy the Bull, when they were on the thing with Patrick Bet David, you see how fucking bent out of shape he got at Sammy, too.
Yeah, yeah. I seen that. I watched that. That once you get into politics and religion, guys, it's a little bit of
Forget it.
it's a little bit of a dicey, a very steep slope you're going down, man. So you
It is,
got to be careful with some of that stuff. But listen, if you got 2 million
especially.
followers, he's got 1 million followers. He could get away with a little bit of doing it, but
Exactly.
you're gonna have pushback on the other end.
Yeah, of course.
Of
Do you know what's
course.
interesting? He interviewed my mate Gene Borello the other day, didn't he? I don't know if anyone in the
Yeah,
Yeah,
chat or
yeah,
you
yeah,
guys saw
yeah.
it.
I seen it. I
So
seen it.
the
it's out
first ten
already?
minutes. Sorry.
It's out already?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was
He
The
did it like
stuff?
a week ago.
he
See, I don't watch him
he's
that much no more.
no, no. Right. So for the first 10 minutes, Michael Francis did
Yeah.
quite a lengthy introduction, and what he said in his
Okay.
introduction, which I found was very interesting, was that he helps smaller channels to succeed. Well, he ignored
Yeah.
me when I reached out to him, and he blew Nick off when Nick reached out to him, and then. He says he doesn't do drama. He's not into drama. He steers clear of drama. Cue Gene Borello, the
Yeah.
biggest drama queen in
Right.
the genre.
Yeah.
What I'm saying.
I felt the same way. I know what you're saying. I think he brought him on, Rob, because it was
For
probably
the
something.
views.
Yeah, just to throw a monkey wrench and try to surprise
Yeah.
everybody with who he's bringing on. It was one of those deals. And I don't think it fared that well. I don't know how the views are or not. I don't know if it's good, but
I gotta go check that out because I haven't been watching him that much. Only thing I watched is when he did that interview with James Proctor.
yes, yeah. That's who brought me on. That was the first guy who did my interview
Oh
was
yeah.
Proctor. Yeah. He
How
kind of
is that? He seems like a nice guy.
he's not a bad guy. The problem with James, and not the problem, it's just my opinion. He knows how I feel. He's got
Yeah.
he's got a bunch of people pissing in his ear. And when you have that
Oh
many
yeah.
people telling you what to do, it's not going to come
You're
out as
right.
your own. It's going to come out as all theirs. So I just feel like he's dealing with
Yeah.
a lot of that.
Baby A's commented
Well,
saying that Michael's all about the money.
that's all he's had over his life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? All kinds of money. You're making fucking $8 million a fucking week. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? You know what kind of fucking money that is?
Yeah. Forget. What are you going to do after that?
That's fucking all kinds of money.
You going to go
Yeah.
work at Target after that?
Yeah,
No,
he had his
hell no. You're gonna
private
go
jet
rob
and all
Target.
sorts.
Yeah. You're going to go
Yeah.
rob. No, but
Yeah, yeah.
he obviously knew how to make himself legit money because now the guy does great for himself. So
Yeah.
That's true.
Exactly. You know, I mean,
Yeah, fair play. So he's been on Piers Morgan. He actually talks about the incidents with the UK venues on Piers Morgan. I think he's been on Piers Morgan
yeah,
two or three times.
I seen the
yeah.
interview with Piers Morgan. That was a little while back too. I seen that interview. That was actually a good interview.
Yeah, no, I enjoy
Yeah, because
I enjoy
he's trying
watching.
to help out the little children.
Let
Hey,
me tell you,
is it big over Baby Reindeer? Is that big over in the States? Anyone chat or you guys? You seen
no,
it?
I don't
Oh,
know what
what?
it is.
It's this
What are you talking
it's
about, Rob?
it's in right. So there was a Netflix series that came out, which was based on truth, supposedly, of a woman stalking a
Okay.
man. Right now, this is all
All
blown
right.
up because the woman was found, and she's suing
Yeah.
Netflix and the bloke. And it says my live broadcast is going to end in a couple of. It shouldn't do that. Hold on a sec. We can.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Stay tuned,
We're at 2
everybody.
hours right now.
It shouldn't end. I got 6 hours on it. My subscription's 6 hours, so I'll be crying if it ends in
We're at
ends in
2
too
hours.
long.
Why, Rob? You have to subscribe individually, to each thing. How does that work?
What do you mean? Subscribe to each
You,
thing?
you,
What
you.
are you saying?
No, I'm saying you only have a set amount of hours, and then when you hit it, that's it.
Well, I can't do my subscription on EVMux says I can't do more than 6 hours in one
I
stream.
got
But I've been on here too. But I just got a message coming up saying your broadcast
2 hours.
ended.
2 hours.
I
Coming
got
up
you.
Ended
Yeah,
on
in 2
no,
2
hours.
hours and 1 minute.
yeah. No, hey, guys, I didn't want to cut you off, but Rob, I'm gonna go finish up my lunch. And Patty, it was great to meet you, my friend.
I just
You too, Nick. I'll go subscribe to your channel. So when you see me come on, it says Pasquale Pontiac Malizia. You know it's me.
You got it, Pat. You got it, Patty. I'll be looking for you. I appreciate it, pal. And
All
before
Rob,
right,
you,
Nick.
bef-
Thanks for coming
Nick,
on, bro.
before you go, buddy, I just want to let you. I interviewed a Miami, an ex-Miami, South Florida homicide detective this morning. I'm
oh
going to
wow.
try to drop it on Friday, and he's going to come
Oh
on for
okay.
a live. I
Yeah,
think because
I'll come stop by, bro. I'll pop on and say what's up for sure.
Yeah, go for it. It'd be great to have you on. Yeah, because obviously you lived in Florida for some
Yeah,
time,
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
you?
I was
So
in Florida for 19 years, man. I'll jump on and bullshit with you guys for sure, bro.
19 years, boy. You
everybody
like that fucking
subscribe.
heat, man.
Yeah, guys, please subscribe to my channel and
I was
everybody. I'll
about to
see you
say.
guys. Rob, thank you so much. And Patty,
All
it was
right.
good to meet you. Take care, guys.
Everybody,
You too. You too.
thanks, Nick.
Take
Take care,
care.
buddy.
Thank you, guys.
Bye bye.
Everybody go and subscribe to the Nick Romano show. This guy is like, he's the king of live. I was going to ask him about his lives, actually, what he was going on, but too
He's
late.
got the
He's like
perfect voice for it.
he's the king of lives. So he's like,
Yeah.
because he streams a lot of lives, but I'm in bed. It's like 2 in the morning, 1 in the morning when he streams, and he also is really really good at shorts. YouTube Shorts. He's
Yeah, they're short. Yeah,
he's really good at the shorts.
the
So
short.
right, let's see what people have been saying in the chat. Michael is about one thing, baby A. Right, Mr. Scratch 40. Hello, Mr. Scratch 40. OC Shorts is a drama-free channel. It has a lot of history. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
I agree. Actually, I watched some of his stuff, and
he's very
yeah,
good. That guy. His name James
yeah,
what?
OC Shorts. So
Yeah, no,
organized
yeah. I
crime
forget
shorts,
his
I guess.
name.
I don't know his name,
James
but I enjoy.
Patties or something. He does a lot of
Okay,
good
right.
work.
Yeah, I enjoy his content. Michael, oh thanks for your comment, by the way, Mr. Scratch. Michael Moormile, couple of dice there. Snake Eyes, I hope. Tony J, never heard of it. No clue what you're talking about. So I'm assuming this is Baby Reindeer. Look it up. Baby Reindeer on Netflix. Just have a read of the bio. If it floats your boat, watch it. If it doesn't. What's this? Baby A. I heard of it on Piers Morgan. Exactly, Baby A. So you've had. We're talking about Baby Reindeer here. You've had
Okay.
I feel like I'm like confusing everything here, but the stalker, the female stalker, has been on Piers Morgan, her side of the story, threatening to sue Netflix.
Oh, okay.
Then someone in her past came on to Piers Morgan, threatening to sue the alleged stalker woman if she successfully sues Netflix because she ain't got any money otherwise. And then the lawyer of the alleged stalker lady has come on Piers
Jesus.
Morgan too. I know, but it's massive over here. I'm surprised. Well, maybe I'm not surprised, but
No,
I'm kind of
I
surprised
never,
it's not
never heard
over
of
the.
it.
It's
Yeah, but you know something, Rob?
yeah.
You sent me that link to Peaky Blinders on Netflix, and for
Yes.
some reason I tried to watch it, and it wouldn't
Right.
bring it up to me. It
Right.
wouldn't
Maybe
bring
it's a
it up to
country
me.
thing. I'll see if I can find another link to Peaky Blinders. But yeah, so Baby A. It's about a guy getting stalked by a girl. It's supposed to be a true story, but the woman denies it. Yeah, there you go. See, Baby A just summed it up so succinctly, and I just rambled on for
Okay.
10 minutes. That's exactly what. In the saga is continuing. So the Netflix series prompted
Mhm.
lawsuits and all sorts, and it's still going on. And it's a fascinating.
Still going.
It's called Baby Reindeer. Anyone interested in it?
Baby
Jump on.
India.
What's this? The Truth. Hi, The Truth. I'd like to see Shooting the Dice have JC on.
It's JC.
JC. Who's JC? I probably should know
Like
this.
I said.
It sounds familiar. I'm probably just going to be like, oh my
Jimmy
God, what is
Calandra. Jimmy
Jimmy Calandra?
Calandra.
Yeah, Jimmy Calandra. Yeah, cool. I'd love to have him on.
He was on last night. He did a live yesterday. I was
He
shocked.
was with Nick, wasn't he? Was he with Nick Romano? I saw something on that was going to be the case, but I didn't actually see
He
it.
was with Chris Paciello.
Chris
He
Paciello.
cooperated
Okay.
with Chris Paciello on the same case.
Really? Because he's something to do with Philadelphia,
Yeah.
isn't he?
Who?
Jimmy Calandra. He's something to do with Philadelphia, isn't he? Or am I getting my wires crossed?
Jimmy Calandra, Philadelphia. He's from
Did he?
Brooklyn.
No, did he have something to do with Philadelphia? I don't know whether he was from Philadelphia, but no, I'm
No,
probably got
that's
the
what
wrong
I
end.
know.
Probably got the wrong end of the stick. That was probably me. If you want someone who knows what they're talking about in mob content, go and listen to Jeff Nadeau. Don't listen to me. I'm just like you guys. I'm just fascinated by the genre and jump on and do a little bit of research with people and
Is he still
just do my
on?
best.
Is he,
I don't want anyone to
is Jeff
think.
still in the chat?
I don't know if he's still in the chat. I don't know. Jeff Nadeau, you're still in the chat. But you've got people like that who are, very
I mean,
knowledgeable
I give
about
him.
all things
He
Mafia.
knows what
Probably
he's
you as
talking
well.
about. He's
Sorry,
got.
bud?
He's my good kid. I give him credit. He's got a good mouth on his shoulders. He knows. He knows. He's getting up there. He knows. He's very good. He's got the perfect voice for it. I'm giving him props. I give credit where it's due.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't get everything right, but neither does anybody.
No, of
You
course
always
not.
get certain things wrong. But yeah, what have we got here? Nick Romano. Thanks again, guys. Great job, Robin Place. Thank you very much for coming on, Nick.
All right, Nick,
Everyone
thanks for
subscribe
coming
to
on.
the Nick Romano show. I wanted to get to what you were up to on your channel, Nick, but you dived off and we moved on. So maybe next time we speak, we'll have a chat about that. Or you can jump back on if you want. The truth, Rob. What is a trash man? What the hell is a trash man? Someone who garbage man. We call him dustbin men here, or dustbin women. We've got to be equal. But dustbin men.
Wow.
No, refuse workers is the
Oh,
politically
okay.
correct term in here, the UK. So I don't know what you're talking about, the truth, unless you actually are talking about people who chuck rubbish away.
How many,
Um,
how many people
what
in the chat, Rob?
we've got 12 at the moment, Paddy.
Oh, yeah.
Or a yardie. Well, I know what a yardie is. The truth. You want to fire the truth? Not a trash an. A roadman. I have no idea what you're going on about, bud. It's trying to confuse me, aren't you?
Yeah.
What's this? Nick Romano show. Dice, you're getting trolled. Okay. It's not the first time Nick Romano, and it won't be the last. JC is the Cali version. Okay. Yes, he came on your show. I thought Jimmy Clantra came on your show. Nick, I'm sure you did something with him. Yeah, cool. Drop the link in the chat, mate, if you want. People can head over and watch it. GC and Gene, right? Enough of that talk. Correct. No, Rob. Oh, Nick saying I've got some things right and some things wrong. JC came on the Nick Romano show. I'm going to have to find it.
Oh, it's not an issue. It's a name,
What's
JC.
this? JC. I'm here. It's my Jeff. He's a great research guy. Who are we talking about? He's a great research guy. Jeff Nadeau, Nick. Is that what you're talking about? Nadeau needs to have Pasquale on. Well, I think you've contacted him, haven't you, Paddy?
I contacted him last year. He kept calling me a fraud. I sent him emails. I'm telling you the truth. That's why he recognized the name.
Yes.
I mean, I don't want to fight with the guy. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to fight with nobody. But I'm here. I speak the truth. I don't fucking bullshit.
Yeah. Baby A, thank you very much for coming on and joining in the conversation. Appreciate that. You're going back to work now. Great interview. Appreciate your words and enjoy your work if you enjoy your work.
Yeah, right?
Stop reading, spamming you. Yeah, right. Oh, here we go, Nick. The truth has been nothing but a huge Nick Romano fan. There you go.
Who is this guy? The truth.
I don't know.
The guy that said that he likes me. He's my friend.
Well, I think he's confused me a bit, but maybe that's me being a bit silly. I'm not sure. Right, where are we? Let's find some comments.
Yeah, I see it all over here, down the thing. Chat's here.
It looks like Nick Romano and The Truth are having a bit of a back and forth now, but okay. Right. What we'll do, Paddy, is we're going to do we're going to trial out a live every Monday, aren't we? This was your suggestion, which was a really good suggestion.
You like that title I gave you? Nobody has ever done that or thought of that before.
Yeah, we'll go with that. And every week we're going to discuss a mob guy that, starting with the ones that you've been in contact with, you have knowledge of. That's right, isn't it? So
exactly.
I'll set them up. Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great.
I was
So yeah, every
around all
Monday.
these guys, man.
Yeah, cool. Well, it'll be interesting. We'll what one do you want to do first, Paddy? Choose one.
I think extra chat with the people want to hear.
I
I
do you
pretty
know.
much know.
I was thinking that as I said it, I said I should have put it to the chat. Who shall
Yeah,
Paddy
well,
discuss? Somebody
take a
chuck us a name.
poll. Take a poll on it, Rob. Whatever, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Someone
got the
chuck.
ball in my head. A lot of these guys, you know. When I was younger, I used to read a lot of mob books, you know, and then being around a lot of them, you know, too, you know.
Right, guys. Nick, Romano, anybody, chuck us a name. Chuck us a name. And then we'll go with that name for the first one if Paddy's got a story or two, information about it. I'm just waiting. If no one comments, Paddy, we'll just make somebody
We'll
up.
figure it out, Rob. Me and you, you know, like
Figure out.
we'll make when I can come on and we could speak to each other instead of through email, and we could discuss it, you know.
Spot on. Okay, mate. Right. I'm gonna. Oh, by the way, Italy are through. They are playing Switzerland in the knockout stage. So there you go, Paddy.
Switzerland?
Yeah, playing Switzerland.
How's Switzerland?
What was that?
How is Switzerland? Are they
Well,
good?
they're okay, but Italy should really beat them. Or the way Italy been playing this tournament, maybe not so, but they should really come good and beat Switzerland.
Yeah. Well, they got lucky today, you know, because
I
of
don't know
me.
how the I don't know. Yeah, exactly. I don't know how the game went. To be honest, they might have like played Croatia off the park, but I haven't been watching it. I've been on with you guys, but
Yeah.
certainly they got a last gasp goal, which was
Okay.
being what's this? Right, the truth. I asked you to dice about English slang and getting attacked. Okay, you talked to me about English slang. The truth. Hopefully, I know what you're talking about. You give me English slang, and I'll look really bad on me. No, you can ask me about English slang, and I can answer it if I know
Slang.
about it.
We gotta be the worst, the Americans. We cut your language up like crazy, the English.
You change like S's, like organisation with a Z. You
Yeah.
guys do it, don't you? And in English is an S. You do sort of weird things like that, and you pronounce things like tomato, don't you? Whereas
Yeah.
it's funny because
Tomato.
tomato. Yeah, we I've got a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, and they listen and they watch
Yeah.
American stuff on the telly, and they
Okay.
say like A B C D E F G H I J K L M N O P O P
Yeah.
Q T R S G V W X Y, and they say Z. So we're like,
Yeah.
no, it's not Z. Your teachers at school are going to tell you off. It's Z. It's not Z.
Zed.
Yeah, we say
Zed.
Z in the
That's
UK.
wild, huh?
Yeah, there's a lot. There's
That's
a lot of
wild.
like really weird, like sort of. And we call like the stuff you put in the car like fuel. Yeah, whereas you guys call
Yeah.
it gas, don't you? Things like that.
Gas. Yeah.
Gas.
Gas, fuel,
You
whatever
call
the
it
fuck
fuel
it
as
is.
well, do you?
It's still fuel gas, what we want to call it.
That's what we should do, one Paddy, including on our shows about the difference between the two languages, and to have
Yeah,
10 minutes on
because
that. See what we
I
come up
know
with.
that. Like, I had somebody tell me that once, you know, like, I forget who it was. And they were like, boy, do you guys really cut up the English language? Especially you come up to Harlem the way we talked in Harlem, you know? They were like, "Pfft, forget it, you know?
Well, you've got people that cut up the English language as well. The Truth mentions yardies. I mean,
Yeah,
they cut up the. They're like kind of, from my knowledge of them, and I should probably Google it to find out to be sure. But they're
yeah.
kind of Jamaican drug dealers. I shouldn't say that. I'm just going to Google what yardie means because I don't want to misrepresent anybody. Yardie. So what is yardie?
Yardy?
Outside of Jamaica, yardie is often referred to Jamaican gangs or organised crime groups and gangsters of Jamaica origin, nationality, or ethnicity. There we go.
That's what we called the Jamaican posses.
Jamaican posses.
Yeah, that's what
Right.
they're called over here. Shower posses.
Are they?
Jamaican shower posses.
Okay. Okay. Um, Paddy, Johnny Rizzo. You got some stories about Johnny Rizzo?
Who's that? Johnny Rizzo from the Gambinos? He's an old time guy.
Any stories about him?
Nah, I wasn't around then. I was all around the Genoveses and the Lucchese's.
Okay.
Where I came from, there wasn't that too
Yeah.
many Gambino. There was a couple. I had one of my friends who was I don't know if you remember years ago, right? When Greg De Palma. You remember who Greg De Palma was?
Yeah,
The
he
guy
was.
Jack Garcia.
Yes, I watched his interview with Jack Garcia. Yeah, the
All right,
FBI
Jack
guy.
Garcia when he infiltrated Greg De Palma.
Yeah.
Okay, the guy Robert Vaccaro comes from my neighborhood. He was
Okay.
good friends with my brother and my cousin. He was the one that hit the guy in the head with the candle crystal stick when he bashed him in the head.
Right. Yeah.
The Greg Palmer story. Yeah,
Okay.
he comes
So
from my
what's,
neighborhood, Robert Vaccaro. He's a
so
Gambino.
so you want to do that guy? Yeah.
I gotta look up. They might not have too much on him because I know him for years. He actually, I haven't seen him a long time, but he came to my father's funeral, and he I remember him telling us, we were like, "What's up, Rob?" They used to call him Torpedo. His nickname was. He came to my father's time, and he was going away 2 weeks later for that case. What happened there? You know,
Yeah.
I'd rather not do him because he's a friend of mine, and he's still out there. I gotta have respect for him.
No, fair enough. Right. Well, offline, we'll sort something out, shall we?
Yeah.
Cool. I'm going to close off in a sec. We've been on it for 2 hours and 20 minutes,
Yeah.
which was 1 hour and 20 minutes more than I thought we would be. But
Yeah.
great to have you
All right.
on. Thank you. No, it's been really
No
good.
problem.
I hope you guys that have been listening or commenting and joining in really appreciate your time. And I
Thank
am
you very
doing a
much,
lot.
guys.
Yes, thanks,
Appreciate
guys.
it.
I'm doing a live tomorrow with Tom Lavecchia. So if
Okay.
anybody's interested, yeah, Tom Lavecchia.
Did you
He's
do, did
sorry,
you do
bud.
a show with him already? You did a
I did
show with
do
him already, right?
I did do a show with him, but I haven't done a live with him. I did a show. I'm just going to put
Oh,
the
okay,
link
okay.
actually. He
Yeah,
is
I'll
the
check it with
guy.
you. What
Yeah, come
time you
in,
doing it?
Paddy.
What time you doing it? Because in the morning, I got to go to the doctor in the morning. I won't be back until like my time,
Right.
probably like 10 a.m. 10 a.m. New York time, which is 7 o'clock your, no, 5 o'clock your time.
I am doing it at 10 o'clock my time in the night because England are playing just before. So what would that be in your what? How many? I can't remember. Is it 7 hours
10
behind?
o'clock your time, 3 p.m.
That's it. Yeah,
I
three
could come
p.m.
on. Yeah, 3 p.m. Yeah, I'll be done. I'll be home by like 10, 11 o'clock my time, which is like 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock your time.
Yeah, cool. Scott Guardino. They're on South Beach in Miami too. Oh dear, what have I missed something here? What are you talking
South,
about, Scott?
that's South Beach he's talking about down in Miami.
Yeah, in Miami. They're in South Beach. Were you talking about Yardies? I don't know.
Whoa, what the fuck who banged the door?
Sounds like you got like torrential rain or something there, Paddy.
No,
Just
somebody just slammed the door and my fucking apartment shook. The next door
freaking
probably.
hell.
I went boom and I went, oh. Yeah.
Right, guys, Paddy. Thank you, Paddy, very much for your time, buddy. Really appreciate it. Nick Romano, please
Anytime,
come.
Rob, anytime. No,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
No, thank
You
you.
put me on the
And
platform so nobody calls me a fucking bullshitter no more.
no worries. We can sing that from the rooftops, Paddy. Nick Romano, thank you, buddy, for coming on. People like,
Thanks,
subscribe,
Nick. Coming
comment.
on, Nick.
Yeah, support Nick Romano. He's got some great content there. Marathon lives in excellent shorts, and yeah, we'll Right,
What
I'll
the hell
speak
is
to you in
that?
a
Your
bit, Nick.
phone?
Yeah, Nick's been ringing me.
Nick,
I'll speak to you in
no,
a
you
second.
do,
Just
Rob.
what's that?
Before you go live, right? Just throw me an email so I
I
remember.
will. I will do, mate. I will
All
do.
right?
Right. Yeah, lovely. Right. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Thanks again, Paddy.
Thank
Thank you,
you,
Nick Romano, for
guys.
jumping on. And
Thank you
catch you
very much,
tomorrow.
guys. I appreciate it.
Great
Appreciate
stuff.
it. I can't
All
get
the
my phone.
best,
There we
guys.
go. All right, guys. Have a good night, all right?
Yeah,
See
have a
you
good night,
tomorrow.
everybody.
Speak to you tomorrow. All right.
Speak.
Bye-bye.
All the best.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.